important thing in your life. All right, and we're live. That's there we go right there. All right, welcome. Episode 77, I believe. Welcome to the Soscast. This is where finance meets romance, the sexiest financial show in the world. And this is what we do here. Obviously, we've got some special guests in the building today, but let me introduce myself to you guys out there. If you're not familiar, you can call me Soscast. We're here to help you men out there get paid, laid, and do it your way. That's all we do here on Valuetainment. We have some special guests here in the building today. So let me go around the panel here, but let's start with Pearl. She just touched down from London town. She's in the town today. YouTuber, massive, blown up. Your show is called The Pregame. Every Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
And Tuesday.
And Tuesday?
Yeah.
Forgive me, I didn't realize you added another day. How careless of me. That's a wrong right there. And some may call
Good, I'm
her
glad you got it.
the face of the female face of the red pill. How do you feel about that?
Do they call me that?
I don't know, man. I just made that up, but I feel like that could flow.
Cool.
All right. Well, welcome. We're going to learn and hear a lot about Pearl today. To your left, TLA, the lead attorney, family law, divorce, marriage, YouTuber in Atlanta.
That's right.
Good looking, stud, well dressed. What am I leaving out here, bro?
That's about it.
All right.
I'm just trying to help.
All right, guys,
men,
show's
yeah.
over. That's it. We did it. There it was. All right.
No,
You're trying to do what?
Yeah, I'm just trying to help men. I have a men-centric channel. It's about legal aspects. Started out with child support, alimony, things like that. So many men get screwed over in divorce. So that's where I come in. I've been practicing 20 years. Divorced. Well, I was married for 10 years, then divorced. Retired a couple of years ago. Started YouTube and just trying to blow up like Pearl.
Hell no, we all are. Did you represent yourself?
I did.
All right. Well,
we got into
you
a
went
big
to
argument.
law school and you paid a lot of money, so might as well represent yourself.
It worked out fantastic.
All right. So
Right?
that money.
Yeah, we got into a big argument, and I went to the kitchen, just drew up the papers, went upstairs, signed this, and it was great.
Sounds like the suavest divorce situation ever.
Yeah,
Well,
she
you're
was
focusing
not
on
looking
men.
for that.
Let's talk about Madison. Madison Miller here focuses on women.
Yes.
Beauty queen, YouTuber, beauty expert, single mom, 2 kids. I think about 2 and 4.
Well, yeah, she's almost 2, and I have a 4-year-old.
Okay, and
Yeah.
you have a channel, Madison Miller.
Madison
half
Miller.
a million on YouTube.
Yes.
You also have another channel.
I have another one called Life of Maddie, which is like more
Life
vlog,
of Maddie.
like lifestyle.
Make sure that we have all the links below for
Yeah.
obviously Pearl, for TLA, for Maddie, for Madison. And you started a podcast with
Yes.
your now boyfriend, Ross Greenstein in the house.
We started
What's
Pan
up?
and Unicorn.
Pan and Unicorn. So
Yeah.
entrepreneur, businessman, also divorced, 2 kids. I don't know how I know so much about you, but I read it in your bio. But you started a relationship podcast called
Yes.
Pan and Unicorn. So what inspired that?
Ross, do you want to tell that story?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Pan and Unicorn came about because it's our nicknames for each other. So Ross was really big about having nicknames. And I called him Peter Pan because he's a child at heart.
Let's go.
I love him for that. And he calls me Unicorn because of, why don't you explain why you call me Unicorn?
I was single after divorce, looking for girls, and I put like the checkbox together of like, people are like, so like, what are you looking for? You get asked that a lot.
Very important to be very clear in what you're looking for. Intentional.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And-
what'd you put on there?
Blonde,
Hot, cool, 2 kids, recent divorcee, unicorn-like.
Exactly.
Boom.
And
so
then
here she shows up,
And then
prancing in.
I was told I will never find someone like that because
Never gonna find a unicorn,
That's
bro.
they don't exist.
That's what I heard.
So then I met her.
We
and
all
then
saw
I started calling her
the
Unicorn.
hot crazy Matrix. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
Pearl, you've seen this.
Yeah. I've
The
seen
hot
that.
crazy
Yeah,
Matrix?
Yeah.
What the crazy starts at a 5 because there's no girl crazier than the 5.
Correct.
And then obviously the hot. You're familiar with this?
Yeah.
1 through 10 scale, and they said if you
Yes.
find these hot, cool women who aren't crazy, they don't exist. If you find them, they're called unicorns. If
Correct.
you capture them, please bring them into the lab so we can study them and find them.
Correct.
So,
So
when is
that's
she
what
going
happened.
into the
And
study?
then in the beginning, I was like, look, like there's just no way you're actually this cool. Right? So it's like, you're dating a girl and they like put on like their best look, best everything.
Chris Rock calls it, you don't send yourself, you send your representative
Correct.
to the first date.
Correct. Or the first few months.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, so after 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, when are you going to become a crazy bitch? She hasn't.
And it's been how many months?
been almost a year.
Give it time, Ross.
I've been waiting.
All right. We'll follow up on that. So one of the questions that we always ask people before we start the show is tell us your relationship status and how you make your money. So you guys are together, recent divorce, we know that. So how do you
Yes.
make your money? And then we'll go down the line here and we'll get started.
So I've been a full-time YouTuber for about 7 years, and that's how I make my money. It's mainly YouTube.
Full on YouTuber. Okay.
Well, she worked at Ipsy.
Yes, I worked at Ipsy for a while. I was known as an Ipsy creator, like in-house creator for them for about 3 years. So I was one of the faces of Ipsy. And
Adam's like, what the fuck's Ipsy?
I
No
know.
clue. Our
Ipsy-
audience has no clue that.
It's a
You
subscription
dealt with
brand.
makeup. Got it. Boom.
Yes,
Moving on.
he's got it,
Okay.
yeah.
And you've got 2 kids and you were
Yes.
married how long?
I was married for almost 8 years.
8 years. And you've been divorced how long?
For not even a year. Not
So
even a full
divorce,
year. Wait, well,
meet
we
Ross,
separated.
Pan and Unicorn,
we
bang, bang, bang.
separated. He moved out over a year ago, and then
Gotcha.
the divorce process takes forever, as
Okay.
you probably know. And yeah, so we've been officially divorced since I think July.
Got it. All right,
Yeah.
going down the line, what do you do for work and your relationship status?
Principal at a company called Stratford Partners. We buy apartments all over the country. And then I'm also a founder of a company called Brand Sauce. We do brand merchandise and swag.
Entrepreneur, businessman,
Entrepreneur.
got it.
And then we started the podcast. We're about 10 episodes in. That's fun.
And you've been
We're
together
enjoying it.
almost a year.
Been together almost a year.
And you've got 2 kids, you got 2 kids, you got a Brady Bunch thing going on here.
We don't
And there
live
we go.
together yet.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
we're taking it slow, but we've started one of our podcast episodes. We're starting to talk about like blending families and how that's all going to work. And
Nice.
yeah. That's
All
what
right,
we're doing.
well, congrats on your guys' newfound love. Pearl,
Thanks.
we all know you're a massive YouTuber, but tell us something you don't know. I'm sure guys are hitting you up in the DMs left and right these days. Relationship status, money status, go ahead.
Well, I make my money from YouTube, and I'm single.
There you go.
That's it.
You can lift this up if you
Oh,
want.
okay.
Okay, you're single. And
Yes.
since you've blown up on YouTube, how hard is it to stay single these days? Meaning, like, the equivalent of what I'm looking for is like when like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles or even the New Kids on the Block did a concert and the women's were throwing panties on stage. Let's just extrapolate that female YouTuber single that talks about relationship. What kind of panties are being thrown your way? Male panties.
I mean, I don't think guys really care about my YouTube channel. If I'm
Really?
being honest, I mean, I feel like sure I get DMs from people I don't know, but I've always preferred to like meet people organically. You know,
Gotcha.
so you know, I do get more messages, but I don't know. I just haven't found like guys really give a shit what you do.
Really?
You know, they're like, oh, that's cool.
Well, guys, if you would, in the chat, throw your manties in the chat if you want to know, like, if you want to get a little closer to Pearl. Maybe we can make something happen. Maybe a lucky winner will go on a date with you today. Maybe we got something spicy that we can throw out there. I don't know.
She's in Miami for a couple weeks.
She is in Miami for a couple
The
weeks.
biggest super chat gets a date with Pearl. How about
Biggest
that?
super chat
There you
date
go.
with Pearl. By the way, we'll be checking super chats throughout the episode. Natalia, we all know Nat. She's just
Yes.
learning how to read. She's crushing it. She's
doing
doing
well.
the
I'm doing
Duolingo
well.
thing for English.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a sec. Lead, go ahead. Relationship
Yes.
status, you said you were semi-retired.
Yeah, well, I'm fully retired. I started YouTube about 2 years ago. My channel was monetized last February. So not this February, but last February.
Nice.
And then I got to 100,000 by that December. And I detailed how much I was making at 25,000 subs, 50,000 subs, and then 100,000 subs to let everybody know. Because like on this channel, you talk about money and men making money. And I'm a huge proponent in people starting a YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
I think at 10,000 subs, I was making $3,000 a month. 25,000 subs, I was making $10,000 a month. At 50,000 subs, I was making $20,000 a month. And then at 100,000 subs, I made $51,000. And so I didn't even know you could make that amount of money on YouTube.
But it doesn't really come down to the subscribers, though. It comes down to the views and who watches the ads.
It comes
right?
down to a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. It comes down to the views. It comes down to your CPM or RPM.
Your click rate, yeah.
It comes down to a lot of different things. But a lot of people don't start YouTube because they don't know how much you can make. And so the sub count is just an easy way for people to kind of get a ballpark
Vanity
idea
metrics.
of what I did.
By the way,
Absolutely.
speaking of subs, you're about to hit 1 million any day, any week now.
I'm at like 935. So
That's a very exact number. You know exactly.
I was just
935, 936 now.
Countdown has started.
I've been checking because I think I'll hit it in the next like month or two.
Check Social Blade. You know about that. You can check that.
Oh, when it's
Yeah.
but they never guess me right.
Yeah. Because they
No.
underestimate you.
They do.
Don't ever underestimate Pearl, baby. All right. Thank you, guys. I think the audience has a way better idea of who you guys are, what you guys do. We're going to get into it today real quick. Let's just get a quick read for our sponsor who's sponsoring today's podcast. Shout out to Aura. Thank you, AURA, Aura, who's the #1 VPN all-in-one antivirus software out there. So basically, here's the deal. It's the holiday season. You're shopping, you're spending money on credit cards, debit cards. You see what's going on with FTX these days. How much information do you think is out there? I think identity theft has now officially surpassed actual theft as the most common theft in the world. So as far as information that's out there, legal name, birth date, email address, phone number, social security number, driver's license, those are just some things I jotted down right there. Basically a whole lot of freaking information out there, and cyber criminals are basically looking at this type of information to steal your identity. So we partnered up at Valuetainment with Aura. We're big believers in them. They do theft protection, fraud monitoring, VPN, password management, antivirus software. The difference is it's all in one simple app. Like I used to have a couple different apps that did a couple of different things, but this app does it all. So it monitors the dark web for all this stuff, email, passwords, all that. So you also get real-time alerts. So anyway, shout out to Aura for what they do. You can protect your family and yourself from identity theft at aura.com, AURA.com, Aura. And you can use the code to get basically 2 free weeks, aura.com/Soscast, SOSCAST, Soscast. And tell them Sos sent you.
Tell them Sauce.
That's it. I mean, that's all you got to do. You can also download the app, Aura, AURA, 2 free weeks. Save that money and save that identity. All right. Thank you, Aura. All right. Let's get started on today's podcast. So let's start with Pearl. She just touched down from the UK. She's here, live in effect. Go ahead, grab her real quick just to make sure she's a real person.
Right,
She exists.
here, right?
She's out here. So Pearl, let me use my words very intentionally. You are blowing up these days, rightfully so. You've been working hard. I know how hard you work. You just did a big interview with Andrew Tate, Brittany Renner. You did a big thing with Hafiz. I know we're going to do something with Hafiz later this week. So tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, tune in.
Tomorrow, tune in. So just heads up.
Round
She's doing
two.
round 2. Happy to coordinate that. So for those of you that don't know exactly who you are, what you stand for, why don't you take a minute and just say like who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in.
Okay, so my name's Pearl. I would say that I talk about intersexual dynamics on my podcast. And it talks about, we talk about so many different topics, but I would say anti-feminism, like modern relationships, I would say, is basically.
Anti-feminism, anti-modern relationships.
Yeah.
And now is modern relationships symbiotic with feminism? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Why do you think that is?
Why? Well, I just think we've changed to a culture where it's about me instead of the family first.
Yeah. You know how that started? With a selfie. It all started with a selfie.
Well, I think there's
Selfie, it's about yourself. Now you're selfish. You're taking a selfie. You put your stupid self face in the picture. It's all about yourself. What happened to us? What happened to we? That's my opinion. I don't know.
You know what's interesting? They pinpoint like one of the pivotal like moments when the divorce rate increased as when women started getting on birth control. And it's funny, my grandma, she's 80, right? And I saw her last week, and I asked her, she doesn't know anything about red pill, doesn't know anything about the stats. And I asked her like, why do you think like people started to get divorced? And she told me birth control. Just interesting. Yeah.
Well,
I'm not saying that's
your
like
good friend Rollo, author of The Rational Male, says that birth control is hypergamy. What does that mean? Meaning, if a woman gets pregnant, she will obviously assess the situation and be like, all right, who's this dude that just knocked me up? Okay, he's a NBA basketball player, a.k.a. Brittany Renner. He's a high-value man. He's Drake, you know, the Drake condom hot sauce story. All right, this guy, I will have his baby, and I'll go out of my way to have his baby. Versus, I was fucked up. It was some dude at the bar. He's homeless, jobless, whatever. Abortion. That's kind of what your grandma's saying?
Um,
I don't know if her grandma knows Drake.
I mean, but she knows about abortion. Your grandma don't know.
I mean, I don't think my grandma knows what hypergamy is, but she
No,
was just
but the
saying like women.
concept of
Yeah, she was just saying like women get the opportunity to sleep around with no consequences, so they do it.
No, that's exactly what
yeah,
it is.
Yeah, correct.
Is that they have now the choice to say, okay, I'm pregnant. I've never been pregnant. You've been pregnant twice. I mean, I'm not going to put your shit out there.
No.
People out there. But women have a choice to say, okay, let me back up. It's been 30, 60, 90 days. I'm pregnant now. Okay, who's the father of the child? And then hypergamy is the definition of hypergamy is the act of dating up or marrying up. So you have this conscious decision to say, I'm not even in a relationship with this person. Do I want to have Drake's baby? Yes. Do I want to have Bill's baby? Hell no. Abortion. It's essentially what grandma's saying.
Yeah.
And this is why you feel so strongly about anti-feminism? Like equate the two, I guess, is what I'm asking you.
What do you mean?
You're saying that you feel so strong about anti-feminism,
Well, I just
and
think
that was caused modern relationships by abortion. So I'm literally trying to marry the two thoughts.
Oh well, I mean, I just think that feminism is and always has been a hate group. So it's always been like freedom without the responsibility at the expense of men often. Where it comes to like, I mean, it just goes back to like no consequences. So when there's birth control, and I'm not saying people will say I want to get rid of birth control. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying when you have birth control, it gets rid of the consequence of sleeping around.
Gotcha.
And
Is
same
that
with
a bad thing?
abortions.
Is what a bad thing?
That's a bad thing.
I mean, I don't think it's good. I don't think promiscuity is good for a society by and large.
Okay.
You don't believe so?
I mean, what does that mean? Like, people shouldn't be having sex unless they're dating?
What do you mean?
Well, he's asking if people not be having sex unless they're dating or single and sleeping
We're talking
around,
about
like,
hookup cultures. I
yeah.
think where you're going here. Like now,
That's what he's asking.
hookup culture, body count. I mean, this is something that is pervasive. You know, body
Yeah, I mean, I
counts.
saw a video last week about a girl that slept with 4 guys in 1 week. You know, I mean, I just think that's madness.
Yeah.
And you
I
think
just
that-
think
I would
society
be on
has
that.
gone to like that's
But
crazy.
But are you saying that's because she's on the pill, or are you saying
I'm just
she
saying
could do that without the pill?
I'm saying the
right?
pill adds to it. I'm saying
Got it.
abortion adds to it too. I mean, I know I met someone the other day, 7 abortions. 7.
Oh my God.
At that point, you can't even tell. 30% of people that have had abortions have had, it's either 1 or more or 2 or more. And they don't produce, or 40% of women that have had abortions have had 1 or more. And so, and they don't track the 60% in the future that if they will have them. So it's like, how can you say it's not a form of birth control if women are constantly getting them again and again and again?
Wow. So give me those stats one more time, please.
40% of women that have had abortions have had 1 or more. And that's both in England and in the UK.
One
And you
or
can-
more.
Well, they've had one. They've had one.
No, like
Yeah.
so it's their second
They've had
abortion.
more
They've had
than
one
one.
Got it.
before. Yeah.
Got it.
40%. So they are perennial, habitual abortion proponents. Or I mean, I don't know if there's.
I mean, it just seems like it's used as a form of hypergamy / birth control.
Yeah.
Because 98% of abortions are elective.
Yeah, and I think 90-something% happen in the first 2 trimesters. Anyway, I'm not the abortion expert here, but this is essentially what you stand for, and like grandma kind of like put it all together with the feminism, and that's what started feminism. Essentially, that's what you're saying.
No, I don't think birth control started. I mean, that's a whole different tangent. I can go into it.
Yeah,
but,
go into it.
But I mean, feminism started in 1888 in Seneca Falls, New York. So that was when feminism
First
started.
wave feminism.
I mean,
right to vote, suffrage, right to work in the 50s, all that. You're talking about modern day feminism, a modern woman, right?
no, I mean, I would say it's always been one movement. It's always been freedom without responsibility.
Oh, so even the original feminism movement in
1888.
1888,
In Seneca Falls, New York.
you're not a proponent of that movement.
I mean, it depends.
What did that?
Because it like what I would say is it's always been freedom without responsibility. So even like when they talked about the right to vote, see, we're going on so many different tangents, but even when we talk about the right to vote, like men had to get drafted. So like that was why women couldn't vote. And I'm not saying we go back. Like I think we've already gone this far. We're not going to go back at this point.
Yeah.
But I just think feminism is and always has been a hate group.
A hate group. Wow. So I assume your biggest haters are women today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Unpack that a little bit. Like, what are women telling you? Like, you must see the comments. What is the
I would
most
say
common comment?
the maddest group that I get is the fat chicks. Yeah. So there was an incident where I had a whale attack. Now, so I was doing street interviews, and I was talking about, like, women sometimes, and I want to say, like, women and men can be entitled, but I've just found that it's more women. So, like, this woman on the street was talking about, she felt like, oh, I can't walk home alone at night. And my whole point was, men can't walk. No, why are you walking home alone at night? It's in a dangerous area. And this triggered her. She just got real mad because I was just saying, like, no one can walk. Like, what are you going to do? Walk down a bad area? If you're a guy, you're going to get attacked too. Anyway, so she got mad. She knocks the mic out of my hand. She's like, I'll have you. Oh, shit, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I'll have you, you slag. I'll have you, you slag. And I live in London, so I didn't know what a slag meant, but I knew I was being insulted.
Yeah.
So, and then I was like, and so then I was like, well, you're a whale anyway, da-da-da-da-da-da. And yeah, and so that got me, so then all these girls got mad because, and then another podcast, I was like, 300 pounds is a lot. And I was just like, I feel like if you're 300 pounds, you probably shouldn't expect someone that makes 6 figures. You know, I mean, that's just a high expectation if you're that fat.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then the whales just came for me. They started making videos about me. And this was like nonstop. They harassed my family. They messaged my sisters. Like, that has been the most triggered group, I would say. And you know what? I said, 300 pounds is a lot. I stand on that. That's a lot of weight.
Well, I'm not gonna push back on that at all. But I assume when you're using the word whale, you know what you're getting yourself into.
She started it. She called me a slag first.
What's a slag?
I know, what is it?
Oh, it's like a whore.
Oh.
Yeah.
You slag.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
Huh.
And she also called me ugly too. So I was just like, it's like I don't start fights, but I will finish it.
Ooh.
And so if anything, I should apologize to the whales in the sea. Yeah, because those are beautiful, majestic creatures, and I compared them to fat chicks.
Wow.
So that's a compliment, is what you're saying. All right. Well, no issues here. Okay. So TLA, you haven't really spoken, but let me kind of frame this conversation. Thank you for kind of getting us a little bit of your opinions. So, you know, for a man, a majority of our audience are men. I would venture to say that the most important decision a man can make is who he's marrying, but more importantly, who he's deciding to have kids with, right? There's a lot of decisions a guy needs to make, whether you go to school or not, what kind of career you're getting into, who your network is. These are all secondary, but important things, but secondary. But who you're having kids with and who you're marrying is literally the most important decision in your life. So from a male perspective, Ross and TLA, do you think it is if it's a binary option, would it be better to marry woman A, who's like a boss babe, modern woman, feminist almost, like worker, versus traditional woman, housewife, you know, more conventional type of women? If those were the only two options, what would you prefer?
Yeah, it really depends on the couple's individual personalities. Like, I've done this for so long, looking at divorces and marriages for 2 decades. I see it a lot differently than normal people who are not in the industry. And what I've come to see is that if 2 people are really going to work long term, then their personalities have to line up. And one of the biggest factors in terms of personality, you can just say, for example, is the woman's disagreeability, right? And so you'll have a lot of women who are, you know, the boss bitch and all this and all that, and they're really hard driving in their jobs, because you kind of have to be hard driving in the business world if you want to get stuff done. The issue is that the level of disagreeability that is required to succeed in the workplace sometimes can make it very difficult to negotiate a long-term relationship. And so if the woman is going to have a high level of disagreeability, that is going to cause some instability in a long-term relationship or in marriage. It might be okay if the husband's level of disagreeability is higher. What you want a gap between the husband's level of disagreeability and the wife's level, right? Now, if you start getting too high on that, then a partnership isn't going to work at all, because each person is just looking out for themselves. So you want a couple, ideally, you want both parties to have a lower level of disagreeability, but you kind of want the man's disagreeability to be higher than the woman's.
Okay, so follow up. Well, it's funny, we were talking about how personalities need to mesh earlier. But disagreeability, I want to kind of stay there for a second. For a man to be disagreeable, why does that benefit a man? And what is it like? What are some other adjectives or descriptions if a woman is disagreeable? So I kind of want to unpack why it benefits a man, but why it's worse for a woman in a relationship.
It benefits a man in so many different ways. You know,
I'm disagreeable as fuck, bro.
And that's awesome. and really, that's the way it should be. Disagreeability will protect a man. Men, a lot of times, will have this chip in them to exalt a woman, to put her on a pedestal, to call her a unicorn. And they will start making sacrifices that they would not make for anyone else. And one of these huge sacrifices can involve marriage, certainly a marriage with no prenup. And they're setting themselves up for a huge fall on the back end when they get into divorce court. And I have represented tons of men, tons of women over 20 years, and I have seen the destruction that takes place. Mm-hmm. Like, no one has seen more men break down in tears while their kids get taken away, the equity in their home gets stolen, their retirement, their pension gets stolen by these judges. They have so much to lose. Women don't have these things to lose.
Yeah, we do. How can you say that a woman doesn't have equity in a house to lose?
I can say that because I've been practicing for 20 years.
But I know, but women also can make money. Like, there could be marriages where the woman makes more money.
Listen, there are the LeBron James of women, mm-hmm. right? But I'm not talking about these special cases. I'm talking about in general. If you want to sit here and tell me that women in general lose their kids, you're crazy.
No, but
of course they don't.
Well, some women do if they're like alcohol abuse.
No, not in general.
I think what you're saying, there's exceptions and there are rules.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know if Madison was intentionally being disagreeable. Mm-hmm. Respect. Define disagreeable for women.
Yeah.
Like, I understand. I can appreciate why it is important for a man to be disagreeable. Meaning, like, if you're a nice guy, nice guys finish last. Like, you kind of like, for a man, you have to kind of go through some shit. You need to be like, It's more important for a man to say no, put his foot down, than just be a yes man to a lot of women. 100%. Thank you for kind of explaining that. For the women, why is it important to not be with a woman who's disagreeable? And define those characteristics, if you would.
For a woman?
For a woman. You said the worst thing that a woman can be is disagreeable. And that's what ruins relationships. I'm trying to understand what that is exactly.
Well, if you have a very disagreeable woman, what you'll find is that there's a lot of butting heads in the relationship. And each person kind of wants to wear the pants. And decisions, even small decisions, turn out to be huge issues that cause problems in the relationship. But even more than that, what is deadly is that the woman can take advantage of the man. And she has the state that can back her up on it, right? And so men just have so much to lose. And every now and then you'll hear a woman say, oh, well, women have stuff to lose too. But if you drill down on it, you'll learn that it's the vast minority of women who come out on the short end of the stick. And the women who come out on the short end of the stick so many times deserve it because they're on meth or they're on crack cocaine. You know, people will say, oh, well, women can lose their kids, right? Why does she lose their kids? Because she's on crack.
She's a drug addict.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so people have these types of ideas, but when you talk to an expert, you really see what the situation is. Mm-hmm. And I have seen it so many times. Now, people don't look at their relationships like this. You know, a man entering into a relationship is not going to sit back and say, okay, I need to give, number one, myself a personality test to see where I fall on the spectrum of agreeability. But then I need to give my woman, my girlfriend, my fiance, I need to get her to take this test too. And it's very easy because women love taking personality tests. And you need to figure out where she is. And it's super, super important because you can be in love with a woman and that woman is not fit for you for marriage.
So you're recommending that the husband give her a personality test?
Absolutely.
Okay, and what kind of test? Like, where do you
it's
get the
like
test?
the big 5. So you can Google just the big 5 personality test.
Like the 5
They're
love
free.
languages, is that different from this
That's
personality
totally
test?
different.
Okay, gotcha.
You can do it on Jordan Peterson's website.
Shout out to Jordan
Yeah.
Peterson.
I didn't know you could do it.
Okay,
on his
Ross,
website.
let me turn it over to you, because you were with a girl for 10 years. You're obviously with the unicorn that you were able to capture. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But you also have a lot of friends that have been married. Some are getting divorced. We discussed that earlier. Back to this kind of binary. I know life isn't binary, right? Like Republican, Democrat, I get that. But, I kind of gave the example of like boss babe, worker, and things that kind of accompany that versus more the housewife role, complementary. What have you seen in the relationships that work, including your own, that is more of an ideal situation for a wife and a mother?
Well, I think he said personalities.
Yeah.
So I think obviously personalities matter.
As far as like how they mesh.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But I think a couple of things. I think whether she's a boss and works or she stays at home, there is the saying like happy wife, happy life.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, like, if she's that type of woman, she's going to be that type of woman. So you already know that when you're dating her. And then most importantly, I would say is it's more about independence and dependence, which is, everyone's either, some people are really independent. I'm assuming that women that work are more independent and want to do their own thing and have their own time and their own life and do what they want to do. Not necessarily that women that stay at home are, not independent, but they're probably more dependent and have less stuff going on in their life, less travel for work and stuff with their friends and activities. And so ultimately, I think that's really important, is that if you are, as a male, are dependent and don't need your guy time and don't need to travel for work and don't want to play sports all the time and watch football all the time, and you're more dependent, you got to find someone that's going to work like that. And if you're really independent and she's not, that's where a lot of issues are going to come into play.
Gotcha. Like we have a mutual friend, the sports agent, who's traveling like crazy. He's always on the road, very independent, and his wife is also very independent. She's got her own friends, she's got her own crew. If she were very dependent on him, that could be a very major issue in the relationship. Is that kind of what you're saying with that?
I think for a lot of relationships, it ends up being about time.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend with each other, whether you're married or not? If she wants to spend a lot more time with him than he wants to spend with her, it's going to be an issue, and vice versa.
Got it. So while you said the comment, happy wife, happy life, Pearl like perked up. She's like, oh, let me get on this, Dad. So what is wrong with the concept of happy life, happy wife, happy life?
Because, well, one, they just hate that word, that phrase in the manosphere.
It's
That's why I started
terrible.
laughing.
Right.
But it's also because like women are emotional, or our feelings change every single day, every week, depending on where we are in our cycle. Like if the quality of the marriage is dependent on the woman's happiness, it doesn't really make sense because women feel a different way every single day.
100%. And then also implicit in that is that the man is supposed to do something to make the woman happy. So you have this type of thing where it's the man's obligation. If the man wants to be happy, then he needs to make the woman happy so that he can be happy. And this is what I was talking about with this whole, men raising up these women on pedestals and subjugating themselves, subjugating their own life, their own happiness for the happiness of another person. And so this is what you have when you have men calling women unicorns. These men are not realizing that women are not unicorns. Women are one thing. And I see it in court all the time. They are human beings. They are people that will game the system. They are people that are self-interested. And when men go around calling women unicorns, they want to take them out of the realm of being humans, right? And this is what men need to understand. And they don't ever understand that until they get into divorce court. And it's a bad divorce. Every single man that's sitting in front of a judge that's getting his kids taken away, that's getting his home equity taken away, understands that the woman on the other side that's asking for all that is a human being. She's not some mythical animal with a horn sticking out of her
Why
head.
do men get their kids taken away? Like, I've been divorced. I've got kids. Like, I don't know any of my friends who have ever had their kids taken away.
Are you saying that the vast majority of your friends have 50-50 custody of their kids?
If they want
Yeah,
that,
that's
yeah.
the California
No,
law.
no. I'm asking. You say if they want. I'm asking, are you saying that the vast majority of men have 50-50 custody of their kids?
Well, my friends, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, how many friends are we talking about?
Let's say 10.
Exactly. How many men are there in this country?
Well, right,
No. And again, this is the same.
But what's the reason?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. The number one.
But I'm saying the judge is going to be like, look, I'm not going to give you 50-50. There's got to be a reason why they're not getting 50-50,
This is
right?
exactly why I should have 1 million subs. Because it's not your fault. It's not your fault. If you don't know, you don't know. Like there's no problem.
I just asked you the question.
And I'm explaining it,
okay.
but give me 1 second because this is very important. This is something that men need to know because there's so many men that want to have kids. There's so many men that want this legacy. And then they're surprised when they are not allowed to live in the same home with their children until their children turn 18. They're surprised when a woman can just wake up and snap her fingers and now the woman has primary physical custody of the kids. Mm-hmm. Why do women get primary physical custody of the kids? It's a number of reasons, but the number one reason is because of these judges. The laws are fashioned in a way that give judges discretion to decide who gets primary physical custody of the kids. And by and large, judges for decades have given women primary physical custody. Now,
I had a question. Do judges look at also who was already kind of the primary custodial parent, like who was taking care of the kids more?
Judges are supposed to look at everything. Mm-hmm. But what you find is that judges have mortgages, right? Judges have bills. Judges are
humans too.
Exactly. Exactly. This is what people don't realize. That is exactly right. Judges get in this whole go along to get along. If I'm a new judge, right? I'm a new judge in the circuit and there are 4 other judges. And, you know, I want to pay my bills like everybody else and I'm super excited to get the job. Yep. So when I get on the bench, I look around at what these other judges are doing. Oh, these other judges, they're giving mom primary physical custody. Well, I'm going to do that too. Am I going to look at 15 different factors of who did what? Yes, but at the end of the day, I'm going to ensure that my results, my verdicts, my judicial orders are in line with everybody else. And what is everybody else doing? They're giving primary physical custody to the mother.
So I want to spend actually a good amount of time on this. I want to kind of get there in a second. But to your question, you're basically saying that based on your 10 friends experience, it's typically 50-50. Is that what you're saying?
But he's saying that judges are human and that the judge makes the decision. But not really giving a reason as to why the judge would make that decision.
I just gave one reason. This is, I just gave one. But
what is the actual... Like, just be clear, what is the typical number?
Well, let me say
like, is it, I've never been divorced, I've never had kids, but if he's saying it's closer to 50-50, you're saying it's closer to what?
It's nowhere near 50-50.
What is it?
I mean, it could be 70%, 80%, depends on the jurisdiction. I mean, it's crazy to think that men get custody.
So then what was the guy supposed to do about it beforehand?
What do you mean, what's he supposed to do about it?
Like, you're saying he gets divorced.
Uh-huh.
He has children.
Uh-huh.
You're saying goes to a judge. He doesn't get 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
What was he supposed to do beforehand to ensure that he would get 50-50?
There's nothing he can do.
So, so that's the whole point. Like, what?
I don't know. I just find this so absurd. So you practice in Atlanta, right?
That's exactly right.
So the rules and the laws are probably differently, and the system is probably different in every state.
It's state to state, that's true.
Yeah.
But in pretty much every state in the nation, the rules, the laws are set to where there's no preference given.
Because in California, they actually try to push the fathers to be more involved and have the kids more. And so they push to have that 50-50 custody if the father...
When you say they, who is they?
The system, the judge, the courtroom.
Oh, you're saying that the judge tries...
The attorneys.
No, wait, let's be specific because you're speaking in all these generalities, and I want to know specifically, when you say they are pushing men to have more time with their kids, who is they?
Court, judge.
What is
That's what I've been told from attorneys.
That's what you've been told. Okay, which judge is pushing for fathers to have more time with their kids?
So basically what they say is that they
Who
really
says?
like my attorney when I did everything.
Okay, your attorney, your one attorney said.
Right, but you're just one
You're
attorney.
just one attorney as well.
I mean,
Right, but I've been doing this for 20 years.
But
yeah,
the
but
other-
my divorce attorney was one of the top in San Diego.
But that's what
But the other
you're
point,
saying.
though, that you're saying, though, that doesn't make any sense is you're saying that the judges choose that men, okay, we went back to disagreeability. What is the guy supposed to do? Like, so if Adam's going to get married and he's going to have children, you didn't really get to helping him. So, like, what
I mean,
is...
I think
Look at
that's why
That's what I'm trying to tell
so
you.
many men are walking away from marriage today.
Exactly.
Is because it doesn't benefit
Just a
them.
bad deal is what
Yeah,
you're
it's a bad deal
You're
for
saying,
guys
how do
today.
we fix it? And this is what I'm telling you. For an individual man right now, there is no fix. Now, the
So you're
laws,
saying to not get married?
the laws are changing. In Atlanta, for example, they've just started this year pushing that to move away from the system where fathers or mothers can get custody, because what judges are doing, they're using that discretion to just basically give mothers custody. Now, Georgia is moving to a system to where the default is 50-50, and that's where we need to be. The if the judge starts out and says, okay, here's what we're going to do. You guys are going to get divorced. That's fine. 50% of the time with the mom, 50% of the time with the dad. Now, if anybody has any objection to that, I'll listen. And if anybody doesn't want that, I'll listen.
That's how
But
California is.
that's how California
Yeah,
is. We're
so
talking
that's-
about the nation. We're not cherry picking over here. This is what I'm trying to tell you. It's not, oh, my one friend this, or
But
oh, this
you're
particular
speaking
state.
to Atlanta,
men,
right?
And women
But
are
what was-
men
what's the
only
other
win
question?
custody. It's like 20% of the time.
Yeah, let me get
Exactly.
this.
So
let me
if you're-
the
if you're-
vast
guys, if
majority
I
of
may, let me get to
time-
some stats, and I want to get your opinion on this. So, we're going to cover relationships, who to date, who not to date, divorce, all that. We're all over the map here. All good. Have fun. So here's some divorce stats for you guys. Nationally, we're not cherry picking over here.
Exactly.
Here's some stats for you guys. Man versus woman. Women file for divorce 70% of the time. That goes up to 90% of the time when they're college educated. Beware those smart girls, y'all. Women get the kids 90% of the time.
This is what she doesn't
Average child
understand.
support payment is $720 a month. Alimony is around 40% of the guy's income. These are stats, and then men are way more likely to end up getting depressed, fat, alcohol, drugs, and suicidal. So back to this point that I kind of want to discuss. The divorce rate, 70% women initiate this. You said this is exactly why men are so hesitant to get married today. So is marriage an outdated deal for men? What do you think, Pearl?
I mean, I think men and women are better together, and like marriage is good as an institution. But I feel like the government ruined it. I just think it's a bad deal for men the way the laws are today.
Okay. So what should men do if they want to get married and you believe that family unit is ideal? Should men just kind of be clear-eyed going into this?
This is why I brought the attorney.
This is why you brought the
And
attorney.
it's so
You can't
weird.
hide behind the attorney, Pearl. You got to answer the
No,
question.
I'm saying-
You can't handle the truth.
No, I'm saying like that's why 'cause the legal. I mean, some guys do the prenup. Some guys choose to walk away. Some guys. I've heard of a guy that lives with a girl but has her pay the rent so she can't. Because I guess she can seize your assets legally if she's just living with you for a certain amount of time, and that can include like even if she leaves her stuff at your apartment.
Yeah.
And so I've heard some like guys have interesting solutions.
So is
But
marriage
look
just a
about
bad
it.
deal for men
Well,
these days?
I mean,
Let's
it
go
can
there.
Or
be,
is it
but
a bad
but-
deal for someone who makes the most money?
Well, listen,
Because
I'm
I
so-
feel like
I'm-
it's not even just men or women, it's whoever makes the most money in the relationship. It's why are we pigeonholing it
That's
to
not
men or
true.
women?
And again, the stat that you just read
Well,
about
they're not
women.
gonna- okay, if you
let
are
me
married-
finish, please. Let me
if
finish.
you're
Let me
married-
finish. The stat that you just read about women getting custody 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Right. And this is why it's so good to have a couple on here that, and they're both ignorant about these laws. They said, oh well, just men get custody 50% of the time too, and it's not true. If women get primary physical custody 90% of the time, that should be a stat that shocks them, right?
Do you think that they should take a 1-year-old or a baby and give the primary custody to the male, the man, the dad,
Again,
or
That's
the
actually a really
mom?
good point.
I just
Like if it's
I
a
just
newborn.
I
If
just
it's a
answered the
newborn.
question.
No, I just have that question. Do you
I just
think yes or
answered
no?
the question. It should be default 50-50. It's half of the man's genetics, half of the woman's genetics, half of the man's chromosomes, half of the woman's chromosomes. It's half their baby. It can't be, well, you know, we're gonna give the mom the kid until the kid's age 2, and then we're gonna introduce the dad. No, if the mom wants to breastfeed, that's fine. And the mom can breastfeed on her time and can send bottles to the.
But no one's arguing with you that it should be 50-50.
What do you mean?
You're saying it should be default.
She just
50-50.
asked. Your girlfriend just asked if the father should have. What did you say? If the
I'm saying that that the mother should not be the primary custody. But honestly, when it's 50-50, the kids going back and forth.
You're saying that no one should say it shouldn't be 50-50, and your girlfriend just said it.
I'm saying the primary, like with the person like the kid living with the mom. But honestly, when it's 50-50, they're not full time at anyone's house. They're bouncing back and forth.
So
and that's what the California state law pushes for.
Your statement was no one's saying that it shouldn't be 50-50, and your girlfriend just said that it shouldn't. And I agree with you. It should be 50-50. It should not be where the mother, just being a mother, gets primary physical custody of these kids.
Okay.
So I agree with you. I don't agree with her. Like, fathers should have equal right to these children.
They do, though.
Their children.
I'm just going off of what I know.
The stat that the man sitting next to you, Adam, told you, is that 90% of the time, women get primary physical custody of these kids.
But
I know what you're saying.
Imagine if it was vice versa.
I know,
imagine if it was vice versa, if women only got custody 10% of the time.
I
like,
agree.
we would be in uproar about
Absolutely.
it.
I feel like
But you never hear about it, because when it comes to men,
we're not looking at all the reasons, though. Like, there could be reasons to why that stat is.
90%?
Yeah, there could be reasons to where, okay, so maybe the father did not want to be around. Maybe the father can't be around as much.
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 of them.
Yes, 9 out of 10.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
That's what I think.
Imagine dating a woman that feels so bad.
I'm saying
Madison, what are you saying?
I'm saying that there's so many reasons to why this percentage could be this high.
Did you know that I just saw an article the other day that hookers are more likely to get custody of their children? Prostitutes, hookers.
Pearl, that is such a great point, because everybody, just like her, everybody wants to look at what the problems are, what the man are, and assume that the mother is a good mother. I have represented so many shitty mothers that still get custody of these kids. But everybody's like, oh, well, 90% of the time, the moms get custody, so there must be a reason on the dad's side. This is what you just said. No one looks at the mother's side, though, and wonders, why is it? If women are human beings too, if men can be poor fathers, then women can be poor mothers. Why is it that even with women being poor mothers, they get custody 90% of the time? Yeah. Right? If you sit back and think about this, it doesn't make sense. Of course there's a preference for women.
The men are getting screwed over by the system.
Absolutely.
So I have a lot of questions about the system. We're going to touch on that. Can we go positive for a second?
Yeah.
Let me just go positive for a second. Let's reel this thing in. Let's go positive. We're going to negative town over divorce, alimony, child support, which is reality. Some people might say, Adam, don't try to paint a silver lining around this. You got 2 divorcees right there. You've been divorced. I was engaged one time. Didn't work out. Boom. Pearl's got a lot of manties coming her way. But but let's be positive for a second. So from a woman's perspective, let's let the women answer this right now. From a woman's perspective, what are the best traits and qualities that a man should be looking for in a wife and a mother?
A wife and a mother. Good with kids. First and foremost, if you want to have kids. And I would just say, she has to get on your program. And I agree with what he said, agreeable.
But not disagreeable.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't want a girl that you're arguing with all the time. That's a headache. Guys don't want to come home to... It's like they fight battles at work every day. You want to come home and fight with your girl? No.
Gotcha. How many of your close girlfriends are married or have kids now?
2.
2. So that 2 out of...
4.
Okay, so you don't have a lot of girlfriends.
No.
Okay. Maybe be nice to whales, baby. All right, like Greenpeace. Okay, big girls need love too. So you're saying that don't be disagreeable and prove that you're actually good with kids prior to me knocking you up. Fair?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything you want to add to that? What a man should be looking for in a wife and a mother?
Okay. I liked my brother's girlfriend because this girl went to culinary school to cook for my brother.
Yeah.
Isn't that mad? She's not even a chef.
She went to culinary school
she's an engineer.
to cook.
She's an engineer. She was like, you know what? I want to cook for my man. She goes to culinary school.
Okay.
I'm not it's
Are
good
they
to-
still together?
Yeah, he just proposed. How do you think she got the ring?
That's what I say. The stomach is the key to a good relationship.
Shout out
All right,
Austin.
Gotcha. And then you have, just to be clear, you have 5 brothers. You're one of 9. What are you?
I'm one of 10.
One of 10.
Oh, wow.
Sorry for the one that I forgot. Okay.
Yeah.
One of 10, and there.
Big
How many
family.
boys? How many girls?
It's 5-5.
Okay. And to be clear, if you could paint the perfect woman for all 5 of your brothers, not each one of them. I don't need, Bill's ideal wife, and then Adam's ideal wife, and then Larry's ideal wife. But
Okay.
like, if you can, if there's a I don't want to use the term unicorn because we all know those don't exist.
Jesus.
What type of woman, if you can paint an ideal
Okay,
woman,
ideal,
for
perfect,
your
all
5
right.
brothers?
Okay, so 1, she can't be a hoe. She can't be sleeping around all around the town. No,
No
not for my
304s.
brothers. No 304s for my brothers.
Gotcha.
2, okay, she's gotta, she has to work hard.
Yeah.
So because like raising kids is hard, so I feel like you should have someone that like is a hard worker that you're
Okay.
with. I would also say being agreeable and like listening to him. I really like that my brother's girlfriends, like they don't really argue with what they say; they just kind of follow.
Okay.
When you say work hard, like a job work hard?
No, it doesn't have to be a job. I just think like work ethic is good.
Like, don't be lazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, like,
not
no
disagreeable. Be a
bums.
good worker. Be able to cook a little bit.
Oh, not
Good
attention.
with kids.
Not super attention
Not
seeking.
By the way, real quick, I'd like to introduce your brothers to Natalia over there.
Oh my
Because
God.
as you're saying all
Oh
this, I'm
my
like, look
gosh.
at my girl Nat. Just agreeable, never disagreeing, always a good worker. I know that's
If
just a plug
if
for
they
my
were
girl Nat,
single,
real
if
quick.
my brothers were single, I would totally set them up with her.
All right, listen, there's a lot of dudes out there that are paying for Nat's bathwater these days in super chats. Okay, so Madison, you have any brothers?
Yes, I do. I have a
Wait, can I
brother.
add one? Can I
Yeah.
add one? In shape. Sorry.
In
Done.
shape.
Done.
Well, we know you're not Greenpeace over here, right? You're not trying to save the whale. We know that. Thanks. Okay, so you have how many brothers?
I have one brother.
How old is he?
He is 37.
Is he married? Kids?
Married and has 2
Okay,
kids.
so for your brother and let's say Adam over here looking for a wife, right? There's
Yeah.
a ton of dudes in the audience out there. How you guys doing? Good to see you. What would the perfect wife and mother look like for your brother and Adam over here and the men out there in
I
your
would
perspective?
say someone who's confident, secure with themselves, because insecurities brings a lot of attention sinking and just needing the reassurance constantly. I would also say someone who's very warm, loving, kind, caring, that's very also almost selfless, and that they can, someone who's a good teammate, like a good
Yeah.
partner.
I'm noticing
makes
one
you
thing
be a
here.
better person.
Nobody's saying it like brings home the bacon, making money. Like it's not. That's
A
not.
partner, a team partner.
Well, that's part of it, but I don't think.
Someone who can help you be the best person that you can be, and you both lift each
Okay.
other up.
Well,
All right.
I mean, what does money do a guy who has it? And my brothers are not bums. You know what I mean?
There it is. That's great if your girl can make money and do that and be a complimentary type person, but I don't think men are looking for that. There's a sexual market value stat out there where like what women work for, it's like a pie chart. And I remember this. It's like a woman's looking for a guy with resources, who can provide, protect, be good looking. It's like an equitable kind of share. Like it's a pie chart that gets broken up. Whereas men, 80% of it is looks. And then the other 20% is like what you do, your age, what you're providing, like all that. So it's a different dynamic right there.
A lot of younger men though aren't going to be happy and are secure enough to date a girl that makes a lot of money.
Well, a lot of younger men are probably dating a young girl who's making a lot of money.
Well, I think
mean-
I just think it's nothing to men, and like I do well with the channel, and like that's why when you asked in the beginning how
Yeah.
has your dating life changed, I'm like it's the same. Guys don't care.
You're like, guys don't care that.
No, they're like
I don't know.
They're like,
You're a public figure at this point.
Some men
That
would
gets you an
care.
extra point for
Some
sure.
men would care.
All right,
But
you've been married.
Some men would have a hard time dating.
Yeah, you've been.
no. If
you've been-
anything, I think like most guys would prefer a girl with like not on social media than on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I would say it almost like loses you.
Let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, let me tell you a story. So I meet this girl, very pretty girl, and she's in the nightlife business in Miami. And obviously you do the same pleasantries. Hey, how you doing? This, that, the other. And then naturally it's like, so what's your Instagram? Obviously you do that. And I get her Instagram, And I sent her a text. I said, by the way, I'm really impressed with your Instagram. She goes, why? I have like a couple hundred followers. And I go, exactly. I go, do you know how rare it is for a pretty girl that lives in Miami, that works in nightlife, to not have like thottery going on all over their Instagram page? Like, that is such an impressive quality. So the fact that she had whatever, a couple hundred, couple thousand followers, I don't know, and it was just like nice photos, just her being pretty, family, versus like booty shot, booty, boom, titties out. Like, it was like so refreshing. And I said, wow, I'm so impressed by you. But most girls don't got that in that type of category. Because men, you know, if you're looking for that type of girl, you steer clear from the girls with 1 million followers, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, that's rant over. You've been married. You're married for 10 years. You now have a unicorn by your side. You told me you used to date around a little bit in your younger days. Based on your track record, what is the best traits and characteristics for a wife and mother?
Well, I think what she said first, which is like good with kids, right? If you're planning to have kids with them, are they a good mom?
Number one.
Yeah, for me. And she was a teacher before, so I was like, that's amazing. Because like, if you've been a teacher, you've gone through all that schooling, you've dealt with kids, you've dealt with a lot of different people's kids.
Yeah.
You obviously know how to be around kids. That's huge.
Okay.
So
Anything
I would say
else you want to add to that?
good with kids. I mean, are you talking about her specifically? I would look at her family and friends. I think family's huge.
Yeah. I'm trying to give game to the guys out there who are contemplating maybe wifing up this girl, maybe dating this girl, maybe knocking up this girl, and they're like, oh, actually, my hot girl actually hates kids.
I mean,
and you're contemplating
I think
marrying
if
her.
you're,
It's like,
if you're already dating a girl,
that could be a great thing.
why's that?
I mean, when you say, you know, give me your list of things or qualities that can make a good mother and a good wife, you know, implicit in that is that, you know, those two different categories are not sometimes competing with each other. You can have a woman who has really great qualities that make her a mother, but some of those great qualities.
100% correct.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. Because you can be an amazing mom and be a terrible wife.
That's exactly right.
Because you also can put all your attention to the kids and then neglect your husband.
That's exactly right. And so many women do that, and men are shocked. And it's happened so much, especially after the second kid. A lot of times women will just cut off the sex. You know, it's, hey, I was a wife, but now I'm a mom, right? And so men don't take this into account.
Yeah.
Men get married thinking that the woman that they're marrying who's devoted to them is going to stay that way. And what so many men find out is that is not the case, especially when the kids start coming.
Very important point you just made right there. Okay, so
I've been doing this for 20 years.
like,
I'm
I
telling
do
you, I
this.
see this.
Okay, so
one in 4 marriages is sexless. I'd just like to add.
one in
that.
4
One in
marriages
4.
is sexless. Do we know however many years that takes to get to that point?
I think it's like 2 or 3 months, if I remember.
2 or 3 months. What?
Like no sex. Like the
No, meaning
I'm
like
saying how long have they been
after
married?
2 years of marriage, 5 years of marriage, 7-year itch, 10 years.
I don't know how they. I just know it was 1 in 4.
What I see is that it almost always comes after the kids, and
Yeah.
just for some reason, it's that fucking second kid. It's that second kid that will start it up.
One
Not
kid
the
for
first
me, bro.
kid, but it's
That's it.
the
One
second
and done.
What if they have like 4 or 5 kids?
What if they have 10?
No, yeah. So like,
Bro.
They're great. Like,
I mean, if, like, is it after the girl like has the last kid that she wants? Or will it still
listen,
kind of?
it just depends. You know, Nick Rekieta, awesome YouTuber, he was talking about, I think he has 5 kids, and he was talking about, you know, him and his wife, you know, they'll like pull over and go into a gas station bathroom to have sex. I mean, they're just hot and heavy.
That
Oh
is
my gosh.
unheard of.
That's crazy, right? So
Okay.
there are people that are on the
That
extremes.
sounds like some like something about Mary shit, just pulling over to the fucking side of the
I
restroom.
mean,
of the gas
that would
station.
be, I mean,
Rest stops.
just as a divorce attorney, I
Okay.
I want to stand up and clap.
But let me ask you this question, because I want to be clear on this. You're basically saying that women need to prioritize their man, and that even almost more than your children, because I think you said a quote like that, kids should not be the priority over their marriage, because after the kids leave the house, then you're going to have a neglected husband, and then there's an endless marriage.
I totally
So
agree with that.
You agree with that?
I agree with that because I believe that you're the foundation of the family, the man and the woman, or man and man, woman, whatever. But I feel like you're the foundation of the family, and if you guys crumble, everything crumbles.
100%.
So
Okay, so what should men do from your perspective? What can men do
Well, that's what I was saying.
to
I
make
was
sure
like,
that
I
that
think-
doesn't happen?
When you're saying like speak to the guys, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like if you really want me to speak to the guys pre-engagement, pre-marriage, you got to have so many conversations with this woman that's going to be your partner on a host of issues that determine whether or not it's going to, last or work. But those conversations can be about kids, but it's also, do you want to have kids? Yes. What kind of parenting do you guys want to do? How often are you going to be around? How are you not going to be around? Who's going to work? Who's going to make money? Who's going to do this? And then you got to have those conversations about sex. You do have to have those conversations. You got to have conversations about financials. You're the financial guy. I'm sure a lot of people are getting married when their finances aren't in order.
Of course.
And so that's going to cause a lot of issues. And so you've got...
I mean, listen. It's impossible to say that partners communicating with themselves between each other is a bad thing, right?
Of course.
But especially like when he said, well, let's talk about sex. How do you feel about sex? Maybe frequency and stuff like this. You have to understand that the woman that you are talking to when you're 26 with no kids, you can talk all you want to this woman. She is a different woman when she's 34, 2 kids, 3 kids in, right? You talking to her, is it gonna hurt anything? Absolutely not. But you better believe you cannot hold that woman to anything she says. Because we all know that it's a woman's prerogative to change her mind, right? So yes, tell these men, talk to your woman. There's nothing wrong with that. But do not believe for a second that you talking to her is going to get you the real answers that you're looking for, and you will be able to rely on those answers in the future. You will not.
But wouldn't you say also that, in general, once you become a parent, both parents change. Like you change.
Yeah, you
once
change
have
your whole
kids.
life.
You absolutely change, which, you're exactly right. Which again is another reason why talking to your partner pre-kids, it's not a useless endeavor, but how much value is it really going to give you? When, like you say,
It's
you're
going to
both
give you a
gonna
lot of
change.
value because you have to talk about, okay, I live this lifestyle now, you live this lifestyle now. What are we going to do once we have kids? Your life changes completely. To say not to have that conversation and then it means nothing is insanity.
I did not say not to have it. I did not say not to have it. I said you can have it if you want to, but you cannot rely on the information that you get from that conversation because so many times the information is going to change.
So you're just saying that your party just have no trust, no faith. You don't trust that anything they're going to say.
It's to know how women are.
Do you not? You're dating a woman. You see how women change their minds. This is
But that doesn't
crazy.
mean to not have the conversation.
No one said not have the conversation. I'm saying to have it if you want to.
So you're just saying to the guys, look, have the conversations, but things will change.
100%.
And know that things will change.
100%. That is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, but everyone knows that. That's not like an answer.
No, you're just saying, you're like, oh, well, you're saying that? Yes, I'm saying that. What are you saying? Have the conversation.
Yeah.
Why are
She'll
you?
be right back. Despite our warnings to pee before the show, Madison, this is another indicator of what you can communicate with the woman. You can communicate all you want with the woman. Say, hey, I highly recommend you pee before the show.
I'm so
Next thing you
glad
know,
you brought
there's
this
pee-pee time
couple
in the middle
here.
of the goddamn
I'm
show.
so glad. That is exactly right. And what would he say? Oh, well, have the conversation. Have the conversation. You had the conversation, and look where we are. That is
Pee-pee time.
exactly right.
Right, but you're not really but you're basically saying that's not advice for the guys out there.
No, your advice is not advice. Your advice about having the conversation
You just
is
said
not
the
advice.
conversation would help. You said, yeah, have the conversation.
I said it would help. I said it's no
You didn't say it
value.
would help.
You're not listening. You're just up here. I said it's of
problem
almost
with
no
men these days.
value.
They wanna talk
don't
and not
listen.
listen.
So there's
I'm so glad you. This is the perfect couple.
So there's
this
no-
is the perfect couple. You have a man that
So there's
doesn't
no-
listen
there's
and a
no-
woman that changes her mind. This is the perfect couple.
So there's no
Pan and unicorn.
a
value.
man and a
soon.
unicorn. That is
coming soon.
exactly right. And he's Pan, right, from Peter Pan because he has a childish inside.
Well, there's
This
nothing
is-
wrong with being childlike, but there's something wrong
No,
with being
no.
childish.
If you're going to be childlike, you're in trouble when you get into divorce court. You need to be a man when you start entering into the institution of marriage. There can be nothing childlike when you step into that institution because you will not be treated like a child when you go to divorce court. right? This whole Peter Pan, I'm childlike on the inside bullshit. She's a unicorn. She's got a fucking horn sticking out of her head. It's bullshit. She's a human.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I think he knows she's a human, brother.
Well, you have a unicorn and Peter Pan up here.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a good name for a podcast, I guess. Ross, you want to defend that?
I mean, it's kind of joking. We're just having some fun. Like, I don't think it's that serious.
There's no fucking fun in divorce court.
But,
Goddamn right.
You come to the wrong goddamn show. You think you're about to have some fun. All right, anyway, let's just back it up for a second. Natalia,
Yes.
the lovely Natalia, who we're trying to hook up with one of Pearl's 58 brothers over here.
No.
Come on in. You have some super chats that you want to read, and
Yes.
then we'll move on to segment 2 of the show.
Yes, so I do have some super chats. Thank you all for the super chats. We appreciate it. First one we have by Greg Van der Slow. He said, Pearl, I'm dating a famous TikToker. How can I use him to build followers and then transition to taking head for trending topics? Not sure if you want to answer that.
Nope.
Then you have another one by
You gotta
Mir.
speak into the mic. Speak
Sorry, I
louder.
don't know if you guys can hear me. Why does Fresh and Fit and Rollo Tomasi hate or disagree with you, Pearl? Thought their goal was to open the eyes on everyone to show the world how it really is.
You want to answer that?
I thought we were best friends.
Love Pearl takes the high road.
I didn't even know.
Okay.
Gotcha. You didn't know that they weren't fans of yours? I love how
She
you're
knew.
taking the high road.
She knew.
Pearl is so diplomatic.
No, okay.
Pearl, when are you running for congresswoman?
I'm a big fan of Rollo, actually. I love Rollo. I think he's great.
Okay. Why do you think he's not a fan of Pearly Things?
I don't know.
Okay. And Fresh and Fit?
You know, good podcast, yeah.
Running for Congress in a city near you. Diplomatic Pearl. Go ahead, Nat.
Then we have another one from DL Saint. I really want to know your podcast. Remember him from the last super chat? He gave
Yeah.
50 as well. California
Saint?
California does not encourage 50-50 custody, not San Diego, and especially not LA. Check the numbers. Great show, great topics. Pearl and TLA. Wow, keep up leading from the front, Adam.
Thank you.
Let's
Then
go.
we
Keep
have and then we have another one that says most women, beta man, liberal people always use their own experience and exception to the rule to argue their side. The exception does not make the rule. Then we have from James Sharp. He said postnups is the only way to legally incentivize women to stay with their marriages, but they must be properly drafted. This may vary from state to state. Prenups can be thrown out by judges. Last few we have $20 from Lawrence Bullock. Thank you. If one or both persons in a marriage believe happy wife, happy life, the marriage is doomed to fail.
TLA didn't like that one.
No.
He's like, wait, what? Prenups get thrown out?
Then we have a Black Sigma. Sigma, as a guy, I'm not looking to be loved, but to be desired by the right woman that is attracted to me, to have kids, to say what I'm looking for as a partner is if she's not my bedroom partner. Last one from Zoro Loss, and then we'll read the rest in a little bit. Most men don't care about women, money, status, career. It's just a plus. You end up being masculine and feminine. Broke women want a man. Feminine broke man want someone like that.
Guys, do me a favor. If you're going to do a super chat, we all know that Natalia struggles with reading.
Can we
Spell
do better
your words
spell
right.
words right and
Okay.
leave our spaces?
No, I understand. It's harder than they think.
Yeah, they're like,
It's
just
harder
read
than
it. I'm
they
like,
think.
you
It's
read
harder than they
it.
think to read.
Yes,
Look at these chats.
Because they'll have like spelling mistakes, and you're going through all.
No, I know.
Look it.
He wasn't
Thanks,
mad at
Pearl.
her. He
struggle.
was
Thank
mad
you,
at
I
Pearl.
understand the
Writing.
struggle.
See?
You have no idea how
But
much
we
time I
appreciate it.
spend teaching this young lady how to read.
Stop,
It's a goddamn
Adam. You're making me
second
look
job.
so bad.
I know use big words sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know
sometimes.
that word.
I can spell it out for you right now just so she doesn't understand, but we won't go there.
But we
love you,
appreciate
Nat.
the
Thank you
chats.
for reading, and we
Yes.
appreciate the chats.
And I'll be
Keep
reading them
coming.
all.
We'll read some more chats throughout the episode. We
And
got about an hour left.
make sure to
Everyone's
like the
becoming
video.
best friends here. That's amazing. I do want to get back to Pearl for a second, our special guest. Again, I think that you're one of the leaders of the red pill community for women. In your opinion, like there's Allie, there's Rebecca. They've been on the show a bunch. Shout out to you girls out there. Do a reaction video to this question if you want. What do you think makes a red pill type of woman an ideal wife, specifically?
This probably is an unpopular opinion. I don't think it really makes a difference if the girl's red pill or not. Yeah, I just think there's girls that make good wives and there's girls that don't make good wives. It doesn't really matter if they're red pill or not.
Gotcha. But what element of the red pill mindset, the red pill community, helps with being a wife?
I'd
How
say
about that?
it helps to believe that like the man is the leader of the household. I'd say that helps in a relationship if you actually uphold that.
So is that
but
one
girls
of the,
girls can say anything.
is that one of the red pill value, like the manosphere values, that the man is the leader, the woman follows?
Like men and women are different and they have different roles.
Gotcha. So is there
Well,
any...
red pill it's the study of human behavior.
Right.
So, but it's, part of that is that men and women are different and they have different roles. And men have good things that they're better at, and women have things that they're better at. And so, like, men tend to be better at making decisions.
Okay, so let me put you in a situation right now. You're having success. In like your podcast is blown up. You put in a lot of work. It's not like you just haphazardly found 1 million fucking subscribers. Like you've been working hard at this. If the right man comes along and he's like, Pearl, get on my program. I'm the leader. You're gonna submit to me. How hard is it gonna be for you to like step back and be like, all right, I'm gonna be a wife. I'm gonna be a mother first, and everything that I've been working on for the past 5 years, that will go on the back burner. How hard would that be for you?
I've thought about this, actually. I already have a system in place. I think in systems. I think differently.
Okay.
So recently, I signed 2 talents because I was thinking, I was like, I got to do the wife. Like, I want to be a wife. I want to be a mother. I want to have a lot of kids. And I was like thinking I could have other people do like the shows. So I have 2 talents that I signed. One is Auntie Jenny. The other is King Riches. You guys should go subscribe to both of their channels. But they're able to like do shows when I want to have more free time.
So you're saying that you want to duplicate yourself, so you're not always the one responsible for doing shows. Okay, so but let's go further. Your husband goes, that's great. So you have employees now. So that means you have more work to do in essence, because you have to now manage employees. So that's kind of a good answer, but walk me through the back end of the system when it's like, now you're pregnant, now you're married, your husband is like successful guy, hypergamy, you're not gonna marry no schlub, and he's like, that's it, like you do the show once a week, I need you to take care of the kids.
Oh, that's fine.
How would you implement that?
Oh, that's fine, that's easy.
You're willing to do that?
Oh yeah, like if there's kids, I just feel like the kids should always come first. If the business is like to a point where it's getting in the way of family, like kids should always be first.
So you would put your success and your individual accomplishments on the back burner for the benefit of the family or the man.
It's the family before you. I just think once you have kids, it's not about yourself anymore. It's about your kids. So yeah.
Don't forget your man.
Please don't forget your man.
TLA was like, wait a second.
We're about to get red pill. We're about to red pill you, Pearl.
Well, I mean, but what's best for the kids if you get along with your man?
True.
Okay.
Keep your man happy.
So how would
Happy
you...
man, happy life. That's exactly right.
So what is the saying for, like, what's the male equivalent of a happy wife, happy life? Like,
there is none.
Happy man, you better have a plan, bitch. I don't know.
What is it like?
I think what they mean by happy wife, happy life is they're saying that you should put the effort into the relationship, put the effort into the woman, and she's going to be happy. And because if a woman's unhappy, it's gonna. You don't think that you shouldn't put effort into a woman?
No, I'm saying that. I think you're. No, I'm saying that what you're saying about what they think about the happy wife, happy life thing. You put effort into the woman, and she's going to be happy. I think you're exactly right that that's what they think. I can tell you that so often that is not the case. It is not the case. A man can break his back trying to make a woman happy. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, the only way that I think that this saying is correct, you know, happy wife, happy life, is if you don't take the stance that you're talking about a man pouring into the wife and the wife becomes happy. But it is absolutely true, happy wife, happy life, if the woman herself is a happy human being.
That's true. You have to be happy with yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The way that
a woman has to make herself happy first.
Exactly.
Well, I feel like that is a thing that any relationship should be.
No, but this is
you should be happy with yourself before you try to make someone else happy.
But this is the opposite of what she's saying. She's saying, you know, a man should pour into the wife to make the wife happy. No. That is absolutely wrong.
I'm saying the man should put effort into the relationship. He should put effort into the woman, because there's a lot of men that also get so caught up with work that they forget about the woman at home, or they even become moms and they just like, oh, I just see you as a mom. I don't see you as my wife anymore. And it's like,
almost no man. It's like men are trying to get it in. That's usually that's very few men. But it's telling that you're saying that the man should pour into to the relationship, put effort into the relationship, and make the wife happy, but you never hear the other side.
Well, I think a woman should do the same.
That's
Now,
exactly
would
right,
you do
but
me
we
a
never
favor?
hear
Google
it. That's the thing.
happy man or happy husband and then happy, and I'd like to see what phrases are out there.
Well, I think a
we
lot
all
of it-
familiar with happy wife,
Yeah.
happy life.
The one that I'm.
What is it, happy man?
The one I'm thinking of is like it's like Phyllis Tommy.
Someone said happy spouse, happy house.
Okay, but that doesn't necessarily help
I
the
think
man.
the thing is that a
What were
woman
you
will
gonna
give you back what you're giving.
That is so wrong. That is so wrong. Men give so much, and a woman can change her mind in a heartbeat. A woman can just, for some unknown reason,
Do
she
you
just
think a
wakes
man
up.
can change his mind too? 'Cause I think
Absolutely,
it can go
but
back
let me tell you
both
something.
ways.
No, it does not in reality take place equally both ways. Men, like this gentleman right here, I can assure you that this gentleman right here has a strong sense of obligation, strong sense of duty, strong sense of responsibility. For the relationship, for the marriage, what I see in women is that they do not have that same level of commitment to the relationship. They certainly have it in relation to their children, but not into the marriage, right? Whereas a man will have such a high level of duty and obligation and responsibility to the marriage, to the woman. And so it's almost never going to be the case that the husband and the wife have the same level of obligation and duty and sense of relationship to the actual marriage when the kids come along.
Okay.
I think it's really hard because being a mom of two and working, taking care of the kids full time, because my ex, he traveled a ton for work. And it's like, you're just done. You're toast. You're tired. And kids are hanging on you all day, 24/7. And then the guy comes home and they want happy time. And it's like, I'm exhausted. I've had kids hanging out. Like, so that's the tough part, which is why I always give people advice.
So I have a question. So I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but Adam keeps saying like, there's a lot of men listening to the show. So like, what advice do you have for them if you're saying that that's what is going to happen once they get married and have kids? That's what's going to happen with their wife.
This is the advice. Please listen. You have to know the reality. Once you know the reality, then you can take steps. You can make an informed decision as to if you want to get into this reality. So many men don't know the reality. So many men are like, you're a beautiful couple, and you say things, and it's just not reality. But if you knew what the reality was, then you can make an informed decision as to if you want to enter the institution of marriage, if you want to have one kid, if you want to have two kids. What men need to know is the reality. They need to be able to make an informed decision. They need to talk with experts in the field, like divorce attorneys, who've seen this over and over, and get a real picture, not this unicorn stuff. Let me finish. Get a real idea of what's going on, and then they can decide, do I want to get married? Do I want to have kids, knowing the risk? And if I know the risk and I'm fine with those risks, and things could turn out perfectly for me, but if they don't, I know what I'm getting into, then I will decide whether I want to have kids or not, and I'll do it. But the key is knowing the information and making an informed decision.
Okay, so let's say they know the information. You gave them the information. They know it. They decide to get married. They decide to have kids. Then what's your advice for them?
I don't have any advice for them. They're living. They're doing it.
So you don't have any advice to where they can to have a successful marriage? You just...
I am not a marriage counselor. I want... There are people who can talk to you about the 5 love languages and all this and all that. That is not my field. I am about men protecting themselves from getting screwed over and hopefully having successful relationships, hopefully having successful children. I want that for these men, but they have to know certain things. They have to know they must get a prenup, right? If you get married in 2022 and you don't have a prenup and you've been exposed to this information, if you get screwed over, it's kind of your own fault.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? I get that you're not a marriage counselor, but you are an attorney, or at least you play one on YouTube.
That's exactly right.
Respect. So let's say I'm a successful guy, I'm ready to get married. I'm wholeheartedly an advocate of getting a prenup. All right, cool. There's guys out there. We're the #1 entrepreneur channel in the world. All the guys that are watching this are hustlers, trying to make money, trying to improve themselves, self-improvement, entrepreneurs, capitalism, the whole spiel. If you could kind of give like a 1, 2, 3 checklist that every man needs to know before they enter a marriage, right? Talk about protecting your ass, protecting your assets. What are like the top 3 things a man should know or do before marriage?
The top 3 things, really there's just 2. Well, there's 3. There's 3. First, they should save up $350, $500, $700, take it down to their local attorney's office, put it on the table, and pay for 1 hour's time with the most senior divorce attorney in that office.
Okay.
And say, tell me what I need to know. So many men are talking to their fucking pastors. They're talking to, the guy down at the YMCA. They're talking to all these, marriage counselors. No.
Okay.
Talk to, there's no one more intimately acquainted with what's going to happen if your marriage goes bad than a divorce attorney. There's not one person on
Got it. So step 1, save that money, $500, $1,000. Go speak with an attorney.
For an hour.
Save it for the rabbi and the priest and the pastor.
That's exactly
Homie's
right.
not helping.
That's
Got
exactly
it. Step
right.
1. What's step 2?
And that will avoid this situation here where you don't know anything about what you're into.
You said there's
second
3.
Thing, the second thing is you have to get a prenup, right? And we can go into what will give you an excellent prenup, but you have to get a prenup. The third thing is that you have to get a personality test for yourself and for your partner. So many men want to get married, and if I'm honest, these men are not cut out for the institution of marriage, but they don't know. So you, as a man, you can be too disagreeable. You can be too disagreeable for the institution of marriage. You can be too open in terms of the types of your lifestyle, where it's not going to be congruent with marriage. There's a guy on YouTube, an excellent guy, and he said that the best relationship he ever had was with a woman who he didn't have sex with. They started out having sex. They ended up not having sex, and he dated her for a few years. Why did they stop having sex? Is it because she cut him off? No. He stopped being attracted to her. Why? Because he's the type of guy where he needs variety. And he was totally in love with this woman for the first 3 months, 6 months. After a year, when he saw her naked, nothing. He stopped having sex. This is a man that is not fit for the institution of marriage. So many men assume that they're fit.
Can you discover
for
that
marriage.
in the personality test?
Yes, and if you
know what this reminds me of, by the way, the famous phrase, like, show me a hot chick, I'll show you a dude who's sick of banging her.
Yes.
You never heard that before?
Absolutely.
Those are the guys who like variety, Baskin-Robbins type dudes. But I just want to pause for a second. It's very powerful what you just said right there. Because, I don't know any of this kind of stuff.
I've been
You're
doing
talking
this
about
for
a
so
dude
long.
that is willing to, enter into a long-term relationship, wants to have kids, successful. He's at that point of his life. And I'm like, all right, TLA, lead attorney, teach me something. And you're like, here are the 3 things that you need to do before you get married to protect your assets. Number 1, spend $1,000 and speak to an actual legitimate attorney and get some advice. Not your pastor, not your priest, not your rabbi, not the dude down the street, not the relationship counselor. That's number 1. Number 2, prenup.
100%.
Pre-up that prenup, up it up. Boom. And number 3, this is very unique, get a personality test. Make sure that your personalities mesh. I think this is very important advice right here. All right, how much do I owe you?
No,
Would you charge your time?
No, you're good. It's on the house. It's on the house.
Thank you, brother. Ross, I mean, if you had that advice, is that helpful advice? Would that be stuff that maybe would have been good to know before you got married?
I think
you're processing this.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad advice. I just think that the further on stuff. So let's say you do all of that.
Yep.
And you decide, okay, I want to get married.
Yeah, of course.
Then we were talking about, personalities, talking about conversations, talking about how women change after kids. Then he was like, okay, well, then I was like, well, then what are you telling the guys?
I want to jump in here because this is something that You hear it so often because men like this, you hear it from people who want a guaranteed result. You know, you say, hey, I'm in Miami and I'm going to drive to Atlanta. What is the best way for me to go to ensure that I get there safely? Well, number one, don't be under the influence of any drugs or alcohol. Fine. Number two, drive in the daytime, and if you need to rest, you know, get a hotel for the night, make it a 2-day trip. Fine. Wear your seatbelt. Fine. Don't speed. Fine. Right? Drive in the slow lane. Fine. Yep. This is all the advice that I'm giving you to drive from Miami and make it to Atlanta safely. Fine. So you got all that? Yes. All right. Is that going to ensure that you don't die on the highway? No. It's like, okay, you've given me all this great advice, but what else do you got? That's it.
Yeah.
You got to drive.
Well, it's an odds thing. You're playing the odds.
That's exactly right.
The odds are if you do that, you have a better chance of it working.
That's exactly right.
But there's no guarantee.
Yes.
It could be a goddamn drunk driver.
Exactly.
The roads could be shut down.
They will say, oh, well, what else you got? Ensure that I'm not going to get screwed over. Ensure that my wife is not going to stop. You can't.
Okay.
You can't.
Let's stay on the prenup for a second. Pearl, if your husband was like, Pearl, I'm a successful dude, you're doing your thing, baby, I'm going to need you to sign a prenup. What kind of hesitancy would you have for that?
None.
You would sign the prenup.
I want a prenup.
Pearl wants a prenup. Pearl beat him to the punch.
Okay. You would want a prenup because you have success in your life, or because you don't want to steal a man's stuff? Give it to me from your perspective.
She's rich. All right, let's just be honest. That's what it is. She's rich.
Even before like the YouTube stuff, my dad does well, so I think like at some point all of the kids are gonna get a certain amount. So I always just assumed I'd have a prenup, to be honest. But I also think even if I didn't have that, like, I don't know. I just think if someone if you get married and the only thing you have to do is sign a prenup, what's the big deal?
Okay,
like,
so then
if your marriage works, you won't need it.
Well, listen, I feel like I have a friend of mine that very successful guy, and he wanted to get a prenup. Do you know how difficult it was for him to negotiate this prenup or even bring it up to his girl? He was like having night tremors thinking about this, right? So I guess from your guys' perspective, what's the best way a man can approach that conversation? Is to be like, babe, I love you. I want this to work forever, but look at this list of stats out here, divorce stats. How should a man approach asking his wife for a prenup? You want to take this?
Yes.
Even his fiance.
Fiance,
Yeah.
correct.
No, hopefully this occurs way before the fiance part. This is how you do it. First, you go and you spend your $500 for an attorney's time so you become informed of what a prenup is. So many men, we saw this with Hafiz when he was on the show, had no idea what a prenup is, right? So you want to be informed about what a prenup is, what it can do, what it cannot do, how it can protect you, right? So now you have an idea of what it is.
Knowledge is power.
That's exactly right. You know what you want in it, right? What do you want in it? Because if I present a prenup to a woman and she's like, okay, well, what do you want in it? And you're like, well, I don't know. Of course she's going to be skeptical, right? If you're going to be the man, if you're going to be the head of the household, then you need to show that this decision that you're making is informed, right? So you talking with the attorney, you're going to find out what you want in the prenup. Then you're going to sit your girlfriend, not fiance, I swear to God, your girlfriend. Hopefully this occurs very, very soon, way before the presentation of the ring. And you're going to say, listen, we're doing really well. We've been together for a couple of years, and things are going really nice. And it could be maybe sooner rather than later. Who knows? I'm going to propose to you because I love you, right? You love me. I love you. Our families are great. Everything's great. Now, we're going to have to. Marriage is a very important thing, and we're going to have to get a lot of things in place, right? We're going to need wills. Right? We're going to need powers of attorneys in terms of like your health care and things like that. What's going to happen if you're incapacitated? What's going to happen if you die?
I got you, by the way.
We're good, right?
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready? I'm going to help you out. Save you 5 minutes of your life explaining this.
Okay.
Hey, girl, you want this ring? You're going to have to sign this thing.
I don't like that.
I love
that.
that.
Listen, here's
Don't
the
be
thing.
disagreeable right now, TLA.
Well, see,
you have some problems.
Here's the problem. The problem is like your friend.
Yeah.
And your friend is like most men. Your friend can make a ton of money on the outside in the outside world. When he gets into the house, his level of disagreeability drops. If your friend was more disagreeable, he would say that, what you just said.
Well, at the end of the day,
most men
it comes
can't.
down to risk. Are you willing, are you willing to put your foot down and risk your girl getting upset or even leaving you? But I'd rather know that now before I give you the world.
100%.
Like, and if you're like, listen, babe, these are the fucking rules of the house, and if we're gonna do this and spend the rest of our lives together, this is what I stand for.
I mean,
I'd rather her fight with me now than after we get married and we have kids together and I see how disagreeable she could be. This is like insurance. This is preventative stuff.
Your way is great in theory, right? But I'm trying to tell.
Application here, bro. It's theory and application.
But listen, we're talking to men. We're talking to a huge swath of men.
Yeah.
And so these are the men that I'm talking to. Men who are going to have trouble. The men who would do what you say they need to do, they would do that anyway. You see what I'm saying? Like, they don't need your advice because they were.
Shout out to my boss boys out there doing that thing.
They were going to do that shit anyway. Sign this bitch, right?
I don't know if you're going to say it like that, but...
Right? It's the men.
Hey, sign this, bitch.
Oh, God.
Ross, you're going to say that to the unicorn?
No, because she's a unicorn.
Hey, bitch, go give me that pen. Bring it here.
That's exactly right.
Now sign that thing.
This conversation honestly could take an hour. It could take 2 hours. And some men say, oh, well, if she reacts poorly, then that's an indication that she doesn't love you or that it's not right for you. And that's not true. A lot of times, women can be insulted by you asking for a prenup. They can think that you think that the relationship is not as strong as it needs to be, or that you don't want to protect her, you don't love her. So you have to really explain this stuff to women, but then you have to allow for a period of time for them to kind of come around to it, to absorb it, to process it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can't be that you ask your woman in a great way for a prenup. She says, well, I don't know about that. And you're like, oh, well, you're not the one for me, right? Because if she's a unicorn, you want to give her a lot of grace. You want to understand that she's a human. She might need to mull this over for a few days. There's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
But at the end of the day, you have to have the conversation.
Are you familiar with that story with the NBA basketball player Steven Jackson, where the girl kept delaying?
That was my second video on YouTube.
The prenup.
Such a powerful video.
She's like, yeah, we'll deal with that later. We'll deal with that later. It got to the wedding day. She's like, they're ready to go to the altar, and he's like, listen, I'm not going to the altar until you sign this. Next thing you know, like, her pastor shows up. Like, it's like her pastor, not even their pastor. And he's like, listen, brother, I've done the Jesus. And he's like, yeah, I don't give a shit about it, you Pastor Jenkins. Like, I'm not marrying this lady. And basically, long story short, I think he spent $500,000 on the wedding, whatever the number was, but he didn't go down the aisle, and now he's like, is the lip to tell about it at this point.
Huge,
but
huge.
The point that you're saying is, this kind of goes to Ross's point, you got to communicate before, you got to communicate during, you got to communicate after. Like, you always hear, like, have you ever asked, like, couples, what's the key to marriage? What's the key to marriage? What's the key to marriage? And it's like, we're best friends. We're best friends. That's my best friend. I married my best friend. But even more than that is, like, communication.
It's all
You have
about
to communicate.
communication.
Even in business, we have a theory over here that it's like, not only do you communicate, over communicate. Hey, by the way, here's what's happening today. I just want to double confirm. How many times did we talk in the last 2 days, by the way, Pearl?
4, 3.
Okay, and like, we spoke for an hour. We spoke for 20 minutes. You spoke when you didn't know where the hell you were living, and I like got your Airbnb.
I've been through a lot the last 4 days.
The point is,
It's been a long
I
4
was
days.
over communicating
Yeah.
with you, being like, here's what we're doing. Here's what the show is. And that way you were here and we're having a wonderful show right now. Imagine if I didn't even if I just kind of barely communicated and I was like, hey, yeah, I'll see you then. It's like, oh, I didn't know that the show started at 4. I thought you wanted me there at 4. Like, over communication is actually a very good thing, even in marriage. And sometimes, you know how they say the truth hurts?
I don't know.
Sometimes, I don't know, TLA. Sometimes you got to over communicate.
No, I mean, sometimes, yes, but over communication, especially for the man, I mean, I'm not a fan. You know, if you see, over communication for a man can really put the man behind the 8 ball. A man can.
You're saying if a man is over communicating? Okay, give me an example.
If a man is talking about his deepest fears, his insecurities to his woman.
No. I didn't say.
No, you said like, over communicate. That is over communication.
That I wouldn't even say that's communication. That is like revealing too much.
That's
different
when you
than
reveal
communicating.
something. That's communication.
No, you're conflating two things. The
Let's
straw man
look up
argument
the word
right here.
communication. I mean, it's like you're talking,
Disgusting.
right? It's like that's right.
I'm not talking about crying on your girl's shoulder and telling
That's
her how hard you're.
communication.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Bro.
Okay, that's not what you're saying, but that's communication. And
Hey, I'm picking you up at 8.
Over communication.
Cool. Hey, by the way, wear something nice. I'm picking you up at 8. Cool. By the way, baby, now it's the day of. Hey, by the way, date's at 8. Don't worry, I won't be running late. I'm communicating with you. I'm not saying I've had such a hard day. I don't know. Like that's not where I'm going with this.
I'm fine with communication, but you're talking about over communication. And
I'm just
whenever
saying,
you're saying over communication, listen.
Yeah.
But over communication.
The
reason that is over is that it's over, right?
Okay.
So whenever you go over, whenever you're in excess, you start running into problems. That's all I'm saying. But communication is great. But for example, you communicated today about the restroom breaks, right? Right? So I mean, come on.
He actually over communicated.
I over communicated.
Exactly.
Hey, by the way, everybody, it's a 2-hour podcast. Use the restroom.
I'm sorry.
Hey, by the way, Pearl, everybody, restroom break. We're not having them.
Adam,
That
see,
was over
That's why
communicated.
I call this shit out, because everybody wants to elevate this whole communication thing. And I see as a divorce attorney, no. Like, it's not the key.
You know what's funny? What time did you tell me to get here?
At 3:30.
What time did I get here?
3:45.
Yeah.
Listen.
Imagine if I didn't over communicate that you need to be here at 3:30. I was like, hey, show starts at 4. Pearl will be sauntering in at 4:20.
Yeah, so
not
Over
special
communicate,
women.
boys. There it is
yeah,
right there.
it helped out a lot.
Okay, guys. Couple more things before we wrap up here. We got about 15-20 minutes left. We'll be reading your chats at the end, but I do want to react to a couple clips right there. Okay, so real quick, by the way, before we get to the clips, what are your guys' thoughts? Like, so here's my opinion. The only way that I would ever get married ahead of time, communicating, is if we were going to have kids. Me personally, there's no chance I'm getting married and then rolling the dice whether we're having kids or not. If I'm not having kids with you, I'll just I'm not going to marry you. I'll just keep living the Playboy bachelor life in South Beach. The reason that I'm going to marry you is because we've conveyed already ahead of time. I've over communicated that I'm interested in having a family. I'm interested in having a different phase of my life. Like I recently ran into a couple. They're like, yeah, we've been together 20 years. We don't have kids. We don't want kids. All we want to do is travel the world together. I said, that's cool. I go, the one difference between you and most couples is that you're just constantly traveling the world together. To me, there's nothing more boring than me and my girl just sitting there for the next 50 fucking years of our life if you're not traveling. That's my opinion. So you guys have kids. You have kids. You plan on having kids. You have kids?
No.
That you know about. I know about you, Playboy. So would you ever get married and just not have kids? Pearl, you want to take this? Marriage, no kids. Does that interest you at all?
Well, I was thinking if I was infertile, I'd probably want to still get married, but like it wouldn't be my first choice.
We could still adopt.
Oh, yeah, okay then. No, I'd always want kids for marriage.
You would always want kids.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted kids. So.
Okay. Would you ever get married and not have kids?
Absolutely.
You would?
Absolutely.
Oh, man, you're
Let
coming
me
right in
tell
my
you
bullseye
guys,
right
listen,
here, TLA.
listen, this is another thing. I see this stuff differently than you guys, man. You're like, oh, well, I wouldn't get married unless I had kids. And, let me tell you something. This, I don't even like saying this because, but men, as it stands right now in general, cannot have kids. You can't have them. Like, you can have them biologically, but you can't have them in the sense that you're thinking of. Like, if you have a car, then you have a car. It's not like someone can just snap their fingers and legally take it away from you, right? You're not going to get visitation of something that you have, something that you own. But when you have children, when a man has children, and you just read the stat about 90% of the time men get their children taken away, what extent did the man ever have the children in the first place? The children were allowed to live with the man by the woman. So who really has the kids? The woman has the kids. Like, you participated in the making of the kids, but are they your kids? You know, you look at a man who lived with his 3 kids until maybe the oldest one was age 12. The woman snapped her fingers, took him to court, got primary physical custody of the kids, and now he has visitation with his own kids. Have you ever owned something that was yours that you had visitation of? Are these your kids if you have visitation?
So let me ask you a question.
Wait, but,
No, I hear what you're saying.
So would you get married knowing that you can't have kids?
But this also this kind of reminds, like, I'm in the life insurance business, okay? I have a massive insurance thing. And we say, hey, look, you know, you're going to live your life, but just in case shit goes wrong, you should probably have some life insurance or health insurance or disability insurance. But there's, more often than not, you're going to live, okay? But hey, these are the rules of the road. I guess my question to you is, have you seen so much shit in the courtroom that has jaded your reality that you're like, yo, don't do it. You're going to get screwed. You're just thinking insurance first rather than maybe the benefits of having a wife and having kids. Because he's divorced, he loves his kids. She's divorced, she has her kids. She's got kids over here. Like, I guess my question is, how much of what you've seen, because you've seen some shit, it's like almost a guy that's gone to war. He's like, you don't know what I've seen out there. And he's jaded. So, like, how much of what you've seen is, like, negatively affecting, like, your outlook on life, marriage, kids, and all that?
That's a great question.
It's a fair question.
It's a great question. And to be honest with you, I am the most pro-marriage person in the whole red pill community. I know it doesn't seem like
buddy, that's like saying I'm the tallest midget. All these midgets, look how tall I am. That doesn't mean shit.
Listen.
That's like people would say to me, Adam over here, Adam is like the best Jewish athlete I know. This guy, the best Jewish athlete. I'm like, yeah, thanks, bro. I'm not like the best athlete of the Jews.
Fair point.
Okay,
Fair point.
so you're the most pro-marriage in the most anti-marriage community out there.
But the fact that I could even call myself pro-marriage, I would, listen, I'm pro-marriage, I'm also pro-divorce, right? I'm pro what can make you happy once you have the information that you need to make an informed decision. My answer to your question would be no, that I'm not jaded, but what I am is informed.
That's
right?
fine.
What I am is informed. And so to the uninformed, I'm gonna sound jaded because they're gonna be like, why the hell does he think this way? 50% of men get their kids. Of course men can have kids.
I mean, we're not necessarily uninformed because we lived it. We went through it.
Listen,
we're
you
both
can
divorced.
How does our experience just not count?
Yeah.
It does count.
Because
It does count. But when you say things like, well, happy wife, happy life, I can hear it, guys. Like, you're not gonna be able to hear it, of course. But I can hear what you're talking about when you say, well, of course men get their kids half the time. It's not true. It's not true.
Okay,
right?
but going back to the question, so you would get married, but you'd not have kids, and he's saying he wouldn't get married unless he did.
Yeah, that would be something I would discuss, and I would over communicate ahead of time.
But see, that's the thing. My way, I think, is more reasonable because, I mean, it just depends on what you.
But what's your way?
I would certainly get married with no kids because how can you? When you say that you would get married to have kids, what is your envisioning of those kids? Are you envisioning yourself living with those kids into 18, or you envision yourself leaving the house and visiting with those kids at age 7 until 18 and paying child support?
Yeah, I don't think anybody envisions separate housing. I actually want to play you a clip to see that. But real quick, knowing what you guys know now, you have 2 kids, you have 2 kids, you have a blended family situation. Like, how much better does kids make your life? Would you ever do it all over again and not have kids? It's a loaded question because obviously you love your kids.
Right.
But, like, to what extent are you like, dude, like, that's the whole reason that I got married? Do you understand my question?
No, not my reason to get married was not to have kids. My reason to get married was because I love the person. I want to be a partner with the person, and I saw my future with the person.
Yeah, but that's fleeting because your future wasn't with that person. Now you're with Ross
now
over
with
here.
Ross, yeah,
So,
unfortunately.
but I'm saying kids are forever.
It's because I think
No,
I was.
they're not. That's the thing.
What?
Kids are not forever. Kids die all the time. I don't want to.
Oh,
I mean,
brother, you're going
listen.
into
I've
kids
been
die now.
Listen,
Come on.
I have been in so many situations where you guys are like, what, kids die? They die all the time, right?
Yeah,
and
but that's
not
not the
all
reason.
kids are dying.
Listen,
CLA.
well, listen. You kind of slighted her saying, oh, well, that didn't happen. Like, you got married because you envisioned spending your whole life with this person and it didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
So you're like slighting her for that, but your stuff is the same way. You're like, oh, I wouldn't get married unless I had kids. Kids are fleeting. You're like, kids are forever, and they're not. So many men have their kids turned against them. So many 12-year-old boys and 13-year-old boys and 14-year-old boys they hate their father for what the mother told them lies about their father. You're like, kids are forever. They're not. They're not.
That's fine. That's fair.
Kids
And,
are
and if I saw what you saw, I would be jaded too.
I'm not
But
jaded.
But I also,
I
I
think-
also know,
reality.
T-Lay, I also know plenty of kids that have great relationships with their father. But
Absolutely.
you're not telling those stories. You're telling the horror stories.
No. I'm telling you. Listen.
He's divorced. He's
But
got
are you
great.
telling you're telling him not to have kids?
But he should-
No, I'm correcting
He's saying
him.
that you shouldn't get married because you just want to have kids. You should get married for other reasons.
How is it that she sees it and you
I'm
guys
saying
don't?
I'm saying it's both. I'm
Like,
saying it's both.
When you told
I'm not
her,
saying, hey, random lady, I'm just gonna knock you up and so I can have kids. I'm saying, I love you. We love each other.
Well,
Let's
I
just to
think-
be
Adam,
clear,
wait,
if we are
Adam.
going to do this, the intention is because I want to have a family. I want to have kids. It's not just ending here.
Adam, I'm just showing.
The chapter continues.
I'm showing you the the fact that it's contradictory to slight her for saying that she got married and thinking that it was going to last forever. I'm showing that your statement about relationships are fleeting but kids are forever. I'm trying to explain to you that that's not the case. Kids are fleeting too. That's all I'm saying. I'm just
Why are
correcting
kids
that
fleeting?
statement. What's that?
Why are kids fleeting?
Kids are fleeting for a number of reasons.
Give me the reasons.
Well, they die. They get turned against you.
Oh, stop
they
it.
get taken away. What do you?
Now
Kids get turned against their parents
All
all
the
the time.
time.
I mean,
I
even
get-
there's even
I
one
get
way-
that.
There is
But
that
like
thing of-
dead kids, we're going to
there
dead kids all of a sudden. Jesus.
Okay, the dead kids. Okay, that maybe is a small percentage. I would guess.
Absolutely, but it's a
I'm willing to
But-
guess it's a very small
but,
percentage.
But I would say what he's saying.
Still having kids.
What he's saying about being turned against the dad, that's common.
Absolutely.
I'm not
very
denying
common.
that.
So they're fleeting.
And like
Okay.
I know so many
don't know
parents
about-
where
Are
it's
you
like
saying that? Wait. Let me
Still
just
your
wait.
kid, though.
Are you? Oh my God. Are you
kids
saying
are
that your
forever.
13-year-old that would slit your own throat for the lies that the mother told your kid that's not a fleeting kid? If you're saying, oh well, that's my kid, then fine,
but
fine.
Let's not act like that is
Yeah.
common practice, that kids are dying and
So
they want to kill
many-
you when you're
No,
sleeping.
I
No,
agree.
no, no.
I agree.
But kids
Parents
being
can
turned
be
against
very,
each
they
other
can be
is
very-
absolute.
I agree with him that
Thank
parents
you.
can be very manipulative, especially in the divorce process. You can have a man or a woman who's very bitter, and they could portray, really manipulate the children against the other parent.
She's
I
exactly
completely
right.
Guys,
You're talking
I'm
to
not
men,
denying
and men
that.
need to know
but
this.
his whole point is that the women have the power in this situation, so it's not your kids because the women have the power.
There's also men that do it too.
But again, when women get it,
Like I have a
but when-
friend that's divorced and the husband is literally abusive, where he got upset with her, so he cut the child's bangs really, really short just to get back at her. It's and
Bang,
that's why
bang.
it's,
But at
it's
the-
men can be horrible.
No,
Well,
and
here,
men that happens. But when women win custody 90% of the time, like what's the bigger issue?
Well, I don't know what the point of this conversation is. It wasn't about Adam having kids. Like, if he wants to have kids,
Have
like,
kids or not?
No, his,
So you're saying, TLA, just to put a button on this, and we're going to play a clip now if you want to tee that up. You're saying, don't have kids, bro, because they may die one day.
No, I'm not saying don't
You're
listen.
not
Listen,
listening.
let me just make this very clear.
Fuck.
I'm not saying don't do anything.
Yeah.
If you want to have kids, have them. If you want to get married, no problem. Just be informed. That's
I
all I'm
appreciate
saying.
I think you should be
The more you know.
informed with what you're saying, but I think people should also know a lot of like tips and tricks of like how to have a healthy relationship.
And they can do that. They can go to
I
Dr.
think that's
Phil.
even like more important
No,
than
it's
being
not.
informed.
No. There's nothing more important than being informed. There's nothing more important than making an informed decision.
Fully agree. Let's play this clip right here.
Yeah.
Here's a clip that I want to get your guys' feedback on if you're talking about
Sus.
being in a kid's life.
Are you informed though that
I
if you
feel
have,
very
if you
informed.
have kids, they could slit your throat and they could die?
Yeah.
Are you
Well,
informed?
now I know.
Okay.
This whole time I was worried about the crazy bitch that I'm banging slitting my throat. Turns out I knock her up. 12 years later, kid slitting my throat.
That's exactly
Fast
right.
forward this episode 15 years from now. Adam Sosnick from the
Yeah.
Soscast found dead. His son killed him in his sleep. And then he killed himself. He's dead now. That's just bang. Well, this thing just got real dark. Anyway. Play this clip over here. You recently had a good friend, Andrew Tate, on the show, on your show recently. It was a great clip. He's got very strong opinions on what a man should do to have kids, especially with the crumbling Western civilization. So let's play this clip now.
Audio's on.
So what's your advice for a guy living in the West that wants to have a family?
Sure, I'll tell you what to do. Get a little bit of money, get on a plane, fly to South America, find a girlfriend, have a child, fly back to America. When she says she wants to move to America, say no. Work, go visit, be a family man when you can be a family man. Do not face the fear of divorce rate. Keep your freedom, live your good life, have your genetic progeny, and be fine without worrying about losing the house, getting destroyed financially, and paying all your money away in child support. I'm absolutely deadly serious. Go to Cambodia, have 3 kids with 3 women, and there's your children. Send them $100 a month each, work in America, and visit Cambodia 3 times a year. There's your children. Enjoy.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So here we have Tate, very powerful voice. I would say I agree with the vast majority of what Tate says, even the stuff that seems to be triggering and chauvinistic. Right here's a very, very slippery slope. You're encouraging men to knock up women all across the world, not raise your kids, not be with your kids.
But that was the point of having kids.
Send them $100 a month to Cambodia or something, and just not be in your kid's life. I think, if I may, this is very dangerous advice. Okay, so like, here's the way I process this. Do I want to get married and have kids one day? Yeah, that'd be great. I know all the risks, the slitting of the throat, all that kind of good stuff. Everything that comes with that. I also love fucking America. I'm not leaving America. I'm not going to Cambodia to find a wife. Like, believe me, there's enough Latina Colombian chicks in Miami. I don't got to fucking fly to Medellin. Although, shout out to my friends in Medellin. I'm staying in America. Okay, so I think this is kind of a slippery slope where it's like, hey, Western civilization. Hey, America, get the hell out of here. The system's fucked. Go find a Cambodian wife. Knock her up. Not even a wife. Just knock her up. Start having kids with Cambodian chicks or Venezuelan chicks, and send your kid $100 every couple times a year, and next thing you know, that's your life. I don't necessarily think that that is the best game plan. You talk about wanting to have men and women together and raising a family. How do you feel about our friend Tate saying something like that? Would you want to get knocked up by some dude just send you a couple shekels a month every once in a while, and you're raising the kids? How do you process that?
That wouldn't be my first choice.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when you ask men questions, they're very like logical thinkers. And so it's really interesting the like lengths that men will go to get the outcome that they want. So I think he's saying that to like avoid, the laws in the US. I think that's the outcome he's looking for.
Of course.
Is that my first choice? No.
And why is that not your first choice?
I mean, I just think that it's better to have 2 parents in the home. I think most studies will tell you it's better to have 2 parents in the home.
Gotcha. So it's like, all right,
But that's not even having kids.
What's that?
But I was confused.
The point of having kids is to be with your kid.
Well, apparently not.
Because I thought I've understood it like he's going back and forth and he's still parenting, but he works in the U.S. That's what I understood it as.
Okay, so let's even say that. I think to be specific in that clip, and I get it, it was taken out of context. It could have been an hour-long conversation about different things, but we're commenting on that clip. He specifically said, you go visit them 3 times a year and you send them money monthly.
Oh, he said 3 times.
Yeah. So I don't think that's an ideal situation.
No.
I don't think it's that controversial for you to disagree with that, by the way, Pearl.
No, I said that wouldn't be my first choice.
Exactly. Okay.
3 times a year. No, I was just thinking like my dad worked a lot and I've turned out okay, but 3 times a year, you probably need to see your dad more.
And by the way, your parents have been together for how many years?
I don't know, like 30 roughly.
Okay.
Give or take 5 years.
Isn't that, I guess, in a perfect world? Like, so his thing is like, it's almost what you're saying. Know the risks, be informed, don't get caught up. The kids are going to get taken 90% of the time anyway. You're going to end up paying alimony. Risk. Which is fair enough, but isn't like the best case scenario? Like, let's go to Happy Town for a second. You get married, you have communication. Some may call it over communication these days. I don't want to get caught up on semantics. You have a prenup, you communicate, you have sex with your wife, she has sex with you, you have a happy marriage, you have 2.3 kids, you live in a happy home, right? You roll tide, and you just do it together. Like, that to me seems like best possible scenario. Nuclear family, good home, white picket fence. I get that we're not living like Wally in the Beaver days, but that lifestyle still exists. Let's not pretend that you can't just be happily married, have kids, and have a family. Why is that so far-fetched these days? It's just because we've seen so many negative situations that it's
Go ahead.
I just think we live in a culture where it's me first, my happiness first before the family. Like, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and you know what? And is that more from the women or the men?
Oh, the women for sure. If we're the ones leaving.
Bingo.
Yeah, if we're the ones that leave 70 to 80%.
You don't agree
but
what?
You cannot
not
agree, but
me.
that's a stat. We leave 70 to 80% of the time.
Yes.
But because the woman's unhappy because of the way they're being treated.
Oh, God.
I mean, how is that upsetting? Like, I mean, well, I can't.
I mean, how is she? What? I mean, what percent of it's abuse? I mean, like, because women, like, we get upset over stupid shit all the time. And so if we're going to go based on how we feel.
It's hard to get divorced, especially for a lot of, like, stay-at-home moms who don't have the money to be able to pay for the divorce attorney or to deal and be like, okay, what am I going to do after this? Like, if a woman is leaving, it's because they're extremely unhappy and it's an unhealthy situation. And either they're trying to protect themselves or their children.
No, I mean, I've had girls come on the show that got divorced and like.
There might be some that not like.
Well, you can't just say generally of any which way, right?
I feel like it's like a little bit. It could be.
There's a million different situations.
There's so many different
Correct.
situations, so many different experiences, and that's why we can't just pigeonhole it to just one.
I mean, you're right. There are different experiences, but he asked whose fault is it, and if we're leaving 70 to 80% of the times, that means we are ending the marriage. So
and it's 90% of the time if they're college educated.
Yeah.
Did you go to college, by the way?
Yeah, I did.
Did you initiate the divorce or did your husband?
I had to be pushed to do it.
Oh.
So who initiated the divorce?
Yeah, it was a lot of talk, and I called him up and asked him again over and over each day, is this really what you want? Is this really what you want? He said, yes, file the papers.
So this comes back to my education. Thank you for that. This comes back to education, like, and communicating. Like, again, you know, we're done in 5 minutes. Just hang tight. Everyone's got to pee these days. I would say, hey, listen, babe, I love you, you love me. But here are the stats, okay? I'm a businessman. I'm a stats person. I get you're an emotional person. There's a 90% chance you went to college, right, babe? Where'd you go to again? All right, cool. You went to UF? Awesome. There's a 90% chance at some point you're going to be unhappy and want to leave me, okay? There's a high likelihood that you're going to get all the kids and get all the money and... I mean, these kids these days.
Over communication, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a high likelihood that I'm going to end up getting fucked. I love you, you love me. But here's the sad reality of things. Would a woman respond well to something like that? Like, how would a woman respond to, like, here are the stats. I don't want to end up getting screwed. So before we do this thing together, let me just kind of over communicate and, like, let me know what my concerns are. And this is why I need a prenup. Is that going to turn a lot of women off? What do you think?
Yeah, I was just thinking about like the girls I talk to. Yeah, I think a lot of women would be turned off by that. But that just sounds like a them problem. Like if you're the guy that girls want to be with, like they'll figure it out or you'll find a different one.
Mm-hmm. When you get married, you're going to have that kind of conversation. Like, walk me through the 30-second conversation, if you would.
There is no 30-second
No, like you're not going to have
for a
one
prenup.
You're not going to have a talk with your girl.
It's not
Hey,
gonna be
before
30
we do this.
It's going to be hours. It's not going to be 30
No,
seconds.
I get that, but for the sake of it, we have 10 minutes left of the show. Let's not take hours. Give me like the Cliff Notes version here.
The Cliff Notes is, listen, I love you. You're the person I want to be with, right? We have a lot of things that we need to take care of for this marriage. We have a lot of paperwork that we need to do, wills, power of attorneys, all this stuff. One of these documents is a prenup, right? So you're going to have your own attorney. You're going to be protected. Nothing in this prenup is set to screw you over. I love you. I always want to make sure that you are provided for, right? You're going to have your own attorney. Your attorney is going to talk to you about it. He's going to read it to you. You're going to understand it perfectly. You're going to be protected. There's your 30 seconds. That's how you do it. But
I appreciate that.
You have to show it. You have to present it to her like, hey, this is not a take it or leave it type of thing. Even though it is, you're not going to present it that way, right? Because you love her, right? Mm-hmm. You want her to be your wife, so you're going to present it in a nice way. And it can take 30 minutes. It can take an hour. You're not going to rush it through. But that's how you do it. You do it with care. You're not an asshole about it because you love her. But
Respect.
you need it done.
But you need to get it done. Bottom line is, before you get married, you're getting a prenup.
Yes.
You're getting a prenup, even though your husband, you might make more money than this potential dude with the manties coming your way. Got it. Have you guys had the prenup talk? Have you guys had a marriage talk? You guys been together for a year?
No.
Are you there yet? Did I just make it real awkward?
We don't
Where
even
at
live together yet.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys would discuss prior to?
Are you guys
Did I
thinking
just
of getting married?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Y'all never talked. Y'all not once talked about getting married. Not once.
You're on a relationship
Wait,
podcast,
wait,
guys.
wait.
Yeah, yeah.
Not once have you guys talked about getting married.
We've talked about if we want to
How to
get
get
married.
married,
Okay.
but that's like far in the future.
All right, have you talked about a prenup? Since you're talking about marriage, have you talked about the prenup?
Yeah, you said that you wanted a prenup.
Yeah.
Okay, that's excellent. Then that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that counseling right there.
Gotcha.
All right, guys, we're wrapping this bad boy up. Nat, before we wrap up, I know you got some things that you're going to attempt to read. So go ahead, lay it on us.
She's doing the best she can. You're
I
doing a
know.
great job.
Yes.
You're doing a
Obviously
great
a running
job.
joke.
Thank you.
Tell them
That's
to write
amazing.
it in Spanish, right? That'd be
Okay.
the-
She doesn't speak Spanish, ironically. Try it.
Jesus Christ.
Nat, go ahead.
All right, so we have, let me start here. Thank you for the super chats again, everyone.
Angel, can we turn
one-
her up a little bit? I can barely hear her.
Yes, can you hear me? Everyone's good?
Nat, just pause for a second. Look in the
Yes.
camera.
Yeah.
Smile at everybody at home.
Hello.
There. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Go to
everyone.
Nat for a second. Yeah,
Come to
look
me.
up. Wish everybody Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Merry
Get
Christmas.
off me. Go right to Nat. There it is. Let's get some screen time for Nat.
Yes, let me get the super chats that you guys
Yeah,
gave
that a
us.
girl.
That we
Go
thank
ahead.
you very much. Osmosis Reacts. He says, my cousin's baby mama, no house, no car, mental health issues, legally can't pass the drug test, has 20% of the kid's time, and still has full custody and child support for years. He deleted himself. Then we have one from Black Sigma again. He said, will Pearl ever do an interview with Rolo Tomasi or T.Y. City? I don't know if you want to answer that
I don't
quickly.
know who T.Y. City is.
All right.
Rolo, I would.
Yeah. Then we have one from Tim, $10. Thank you. He said, Pearl and lead attorney, take it easy on them. Remember when you were red pilled, it didn't feel good. Slow it down and communicate it for them. Then we have one that says, I want to ask Pearl, what did you gain from interviewing Brittany Reiner, and did you learn from her that surprised you? I don't know if you want to answer that.
What did I learn? I was surprised that she didn't think $2,500 a month was enough to raise a kid. I liked her though; she was cool, but I just thought that was a lot of money.
2,500?
Yeah, she said it wasn't enough to like raise a kid.
Oh,
I feel like that's a lot of money, but
I don't know.
I
Where you live.
Yeah, it depends where you live in
Yeah, I
childcare.
think it depends, like in general. Then you have What Is He Thinking podcast. He says, Pearl, your show with Tate and Britt was awesome. Sauce, love the growth of your show this year. Please bring it back. Please bring back TLA. We need his expertise on the show again. And then we have the answer to the question of men, Happy King, Happy Kingdom instead of Happy Life. Happy Life. That
Give
was
that
a good
person a
chat.
super chat. Who's that?
$5, Jay Valdez.
Who's
we
that?
appreciate you, Jay Valdez.
Jay Valdez.
Jay Valdez.
Jay
I'm looking
Valdez.
right at you, buddy.
Yes.
Way to go.
Way
Thank
to
you
go.
for bringing value to Valuetainment. Happy King, Happy Kingdom.
I like that.
Proceed, my core gesture.
Then we have one from Cobra Mindset. Link the lead attorney's channel in the title. It's not a man's job to make a woman happy. The question should be asked if a woman's happy to be with you. Then we have another one from Mr. Unknown, $5. Happy spouse, happy house, which I saw that one earlier.
That's not as good as Happy King,
Yeah,
Happy Kingdom.
I know
Let's
you
just
were
be
going to
clear
say
here.
that, Adam.
And give kudos to Jay Valdez out there.
Yeah, Jay Valdez.
Respect.
We appreciate you. Then we have one that says, happy wife, happy life is a way to negotiate genuine desire. You can never negotiate it from a woman. Like a wise man once said, make money, make muscle, learn game, and hold frame. This is from Isaiah Playa.
That's from MLD out there. Shout out to MLD.
Then we have the Naughty Bear, $20. Pearl and TLA, my two Barry favorite podcasters. Pearl, Barry, nice legs. TLA, well, you
say nice
very
legs?
bald.
Nice stems. Nice stems. Just throw that in there.
Then we have
Told you, those manties are coming your way, bro. I'm gonna play hard to get. That's fine.
And then this one is Scott Andes. He said, this is for Pearly. Do you think marriage could succeed if a woman make more than a man? I don't know if you were going to briefly ask that.
Yeah, but I feel like she still has to look at him as like the head of the household. Like even Auntie Jenny's was with a guy for 32 years. She made more than, but she would give him the money. So it's like it wasn't his and hers.
Then we have
That's
Black.
the rule
literally
though-
sounk like a pimp and a stripper.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that's
Go
the
make
rule.
that money, girl,
I
and give
will
it to me
say-
when you get home.
I will
When
say
you're
I
done.
don't think that's the rule though. I would say in most
Yeah.
cases, no.
Okay.
And then we have Black Sigma. I want to ask Pearl, do you believe that a married man should exercise his options because that's what her mentor Kevin Samuels believes?
Do I mean, I just feel like for girls, It's like y'all will go after Chris Brown, like Andrew Tate said, and you're confused when he cheats. But do I think he should? No, I think it's probably easier if there's less like of a headache in the relationship. But I think with certain guys, that's probably what you're gonna get.
Right.
Cheating, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I just think girls will go after a certain type of like a guy that you know damn well is gonna cheat on you. You know damn well, and then you crying, like, yeah.
Well, what's the famous phrase?
I agree with that.
A girl doesn't want a man to cheat, but they want a man who could
can
cheat.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good phrase.
That's TLA out there. He's a good man, but
Well, it's the same thing.
these ladies
too.
are out there,
Like-
coming his way.
Girls will hook up with a guy when they're dating someone or married, and then wonder why he cheats on them later. It's like,
Ooh, you met him when he
Right.
was married.
Yeah.
Okay,
or had a girlfriend.
Yikes.
go ahead.
Then
Finish
we
strong,
have
Nat.
Red Pill Crip, $10, thanks. Over communication gives the person you are in a relationship with an out for seeing if they are paying attention and actually care about you. You fix things you may need to see in the future. Then we have
So you're saying
Salome.
over communication's good?
I guess so.
They said it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
They say that.
It's good. It's good to be the receiver of the over communication, because then you can understand your partner better. I mean, but communication is good. Let's just leave it there.
Yeah,
It's good.
I think it's good because otherwise then resentment starts to form.
Gotcha.
And resentment is one of the number one killers of marriages, they say.
And also, being a whale. All right, now, last couple.
Last
He bought
few.
you at 20. Why you 220 now?
Ooh.
Then we have the last few. Seeing different angles from the lead attorneys is awesome. Then we have Mel Thomas. Tate got arrested. Quick chat. Purple Mayo. Did this girl just cutting up her child's bangs short abusive? We've lived in a very different lives. That is very abusive if you're gonna take it out on your kid and cut her hair.
Yeah.
That's really weird. And then we have the last few up here. Chris Bradley, date foreign women with traditional values. Then we have another one, the Steel Curtain. Shout out to Pearl and TLA. You guys need to come here more often and help people make informed decisions. And the last one, shout out to lead attorney and Pearly.
Nice, thank you.
And thank you for the super chats. Make sure you guys like the video, share this video, subscribe, all the good things. And let's continue, Mr.
By the way,
Host.
shout out to our tech team. As you said that,
Yeah,
the subscribe
right?
thing
He
came
said-
out there. What was that?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm very impressed. I'm very technically inept.
I did it with my mind.
Here's what we do at the end here, guys. We have something called the happy ending. All right. We all, you know what happy endings are, right? TLA. So happy end. What?
No.
Yeah. Wait, what?
What? It's a happy ending.
Like massages? What?
Is that where you're going with
I
this?
didn't know was that what you were going with.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. It's called a double entendre.
We're in
There it
Miami,
was.
right?
Anyway, can we get that subscribe thing back on the channel again? That was dope. I don't know how we did that, but subscribe.
Oh,
Wow.
there you go.
I have more.
Is that you?
No.
Is that you? Whoever's doing that.
I have a
Magician.
few
Oh, you
more.
got one more before the happy ending?
Yes. We have actually from MLD. He said, Adam, I said happy king, happy kingdom on the show.
That's my guy, MLD.
And
He'll be here in a couple weeks.
And we have one more right here. I'm trying to read it all for you guys. Roast me. Osmosis Reacts doesn't sound like a couple has overcommuted when TLA asked about the marriage and prenup. They stumbled to answer.
I noticed that, but I was gonna let him rock with it. Yeah, I noticed it, but okay.
All right.
It's okay.
He's
Maybe
calling
they
them
just
out,
didn't
but I
want to share
noticed.
too personal
Yeah.
things, like sometimes
Hey,
it's
listen,
good to keep
guys.
things private.
We had a
I
great
think, yeah,
show.
it's if you want to disclose it or not.
Yeah.
All right. Part of the happy ending is everyone kind of gives their 2 cents of their biggest takeaway of the show. We'll go ladies first, and then we'll end up with the men. So Nat, go ahead. You did a great job reading today, especially in the second half.
Good
job, Nat.
Chad.
Good
You
job.
did
By the way,
better with spelling.
if you
You
would
did
clap
better
it up
with
for
the
Nat.
spelling.
By the way, if you haven't liked the video yet,
Yeah.
like the video now, just to show Nat you very much encouraged how much better she is reading these days.
Yes, you're
Okay?
welcome, everyone.
Stop what you're doing. Pull the tech thing up. Like the video, because Nat is learning how to read. And we love
Yes.
Nat, and we want her to be educated.
Educated.
Give me your best takeaway of the show, Nat. Go ahead.
This was a really interesting podcast. I think we got a little bit of both sides, but polar opposite sides in a sense. I think TLA is right where he comes in and says, you know, it is important to be educated in that sense when you are getting into marriages and kids and all that stuff. But I also think it's very important to don't miss out on like the actual relationship and get caught up in all of that negative and like the bad things of it. Because at the end of the day, relationships teach you things that life lessons won't. Kids will teach you things that life lessons won't. So I think it's important that, you know, you consider both aspects and you make your decision and you move forward accordingly.
Love that. Okay.
Love that.
Ladies, Madison
Yeah.
in the house. I've never met a unicorn before, but apparently here we go. Pan and unicorn. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Biggest takeaway or biggest message you want to let the people know at home?
The biggest message or takeaway that I've gotten is that there is a ton of different opinions out there. We can always agree to disagree. I like having a very good, mature conversation, debate over everything. And yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That was good.
I was going to go ladies first, but I'm
Yeah.
going to save the best for last. Roscoe,
Yeah.
go ahead. Back up. Pan and unicorn. What's your biggest takeaway from today's episode?
I thought it was good. I thought TLA had some good points on. He gave like 3 things that men should do before
that was a
thinking
sick
about
thing.
getting married. And I think if this show's for men, then that's what we should be doing is give them advice.
There it was. Okay. TLA, you just got teed up.
Yeah.
I thought you were awesome. I generally think you were the MVP today. You didn't, you know,
I'll take
you
it.
brought a lot of stats. You brought a lot of reality. Some may call it negativity. I'm good with it. Okay. Biggest takeaway of the episode, or
Yeah.
what you want to convey?
You know, I just really want men to know that women can absolutely improve their life. You know, we see this happy couple right here. I'm sure this man would say that he's happier with his woman than without, right? And, you know, there are a lot of people who say that men should never get married and things of that nature. And I'm not one of those men. If men want to be in relationships with women and not go MGTOW, that's fine. If men want to be married, that's fine. If men want to have kids, that's fine. You know, all these things can improve a man's life. My only thing, maybe 2, but the number 1 thing is just be informed. If you're informed and can make informed decisions, to me, I'm happy. Is that going to ensure and guarantee a specific result? No. But at least you're informed of the risk. And then if you're going to get married, fine, just get a prenup. You know, if you can do those things, be informed and get a prenup, you're solid with me.
Boom. I love that. I love that advice. All right, Pearl, you're back in the States.
Yes.
Chicago girl, moved to London, blew up, got the whole podcast, got the show. You're about to do a Valuetainment marathon.
Yes.
So like, let's not blow our load all over this one show. But like, biggest takeaway of today's episode.
I thought it was really interesting what you were saying about the kids not being yours. I've never thought about it that way, but that actually made complete sense to me when you were talking about it, especially what he was saying with the mother turning the kid against the dad, because I've seen that where like a kid will hit 16 and then they'll be like, oh my god, my mom's crazy. I've seen that so many times, even with like childhood friends, and I'm like, I Ben knew your mom was crazy. Like, I Ben knew that.
Yeah. By the way, when I say that I thought you were like the MVP today, is because I thought you brought some facts, some knowledge, and even some uncomfortable truths. Like at the end of the day, I'm kind of, this show is where finance meets romance. We're talking about relationships and money and losing half your home and your equity and what you kind of have to be aware of. And I'm a big advocate of a man improving himself so you can be in high demand. I'm a big advocate of like understanding economic supply and demand. There's tons of women out there. If you're a high value man, you're high in supply. But also I understand the fact that there's, like with any investment component, risk and reward. And I think there's all too often many people think of the reward of like marriage, family, life, you know, 2 car, you know, happy, 2.2 kids, and white picket fence. And you're like, hold on, homeboy. There's some risk that you need to factor into all this. And I'm going to give you the uncomfortable reality of having risk. Like you might just be happily sleeping one day and your 13-year-old kid slits your throat. That's a thing these days.
Right. Well,
so hopefully the Menendez brothers don't show up in my life and I can just kind of like figure that out, but I do appreciate exactly what you're saying right there.
Well, and let me thank you for bringing me on. You know, I have a small YouTube channel, about 200 and something thousand subs, but honestly,
just a small little 200,000
well, listen, when you compare
channel.
it to Pearl, I mean,
Yeah.
she's going to be at 1 million next week.
Yeah.
And the
Valuetainment, we've got 5 million, but who's counting?
counting?
I'm not even
Exactly
bringing this
right.
up right here.
But I will say this, though, the fact that you have a channel geared to men, and in the manosphere, in the red pill community, there are no divorce attorneys, right? And we possess a certain type of information that is just not getting out there.
Yeah.
The craziest thing that was said this whole time was from a super chat where some guy said, you know, get a postnup because basically prenups don't work. You know, and that's so ridiculous because a postnup and a prenup are the same thing. Just one is signed before the marriage and one is signed after, right? But it's the same document.
Legalese, bro.
But see, and it's exactly right. In the red pill community, there's this huge misconception that prenups don't work when they do. And so you bringing me on and allowing me to kind of clear up some of these misconceptions so that the men can make informed decisions. I mean, it's a huge help. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm sure the men appreciate it too, because they just don't hear this voice. They hear all these other people talking about relationships and marriage, but they don't hear from a person that has represented them for 20 years and knows the situation that they're going to be in on the back end, possibly, right? So I really want to thank you for bringing me on.
Of course, brother. Thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for all coming on. Thank you guys for watching. This has been a very informative episode. I think sometimes we're more joking, we're having fun. Sometimes it's more relationship. These are the types of things that if you're going to enter into a real relationship with a real woman and have a family and have kids, you kind of got to rewatch this episode and take this advice. So if you haven't subscribed to Valuetainment, please do. If you like what we're doing here, give us a sub, give us a follow. Boom, look at that technology right there. Like the video. And if you like our friend Pearl over here, we are doing an episode tomorrow, same time, same channel. Pearl and Hafiz are going to have another lovely conversation. I'll be moderating that. So look forward to that tomorrow here on Valuetainment. Thank you guys for being here. As always, save that money. Get a prenup. Save that money. We'll talk to you guys later.